Several people in the CPO have all been silent. On the playground, the previous smoke also dissipated quickly at this time, becoming lighter. However, countless stunned tourists, as well as the surrounding Marines, were still lying on the ground. Looking at this scene, from far away, countless people were shocked. Then, Marine quickly reported the news. Lord Kun, what should we do next? Lisa said. On Marine's side, obviously I can't stay any longer. Sha Luo said, fortunately, I was dissatisfied with some people and was about to resign, so I just arranged a place not long ago, and I can go there immediately. But from now on, you may also become the target of the government's pursuit. The life of the Tianlong people is life, and the life of others is not life. There is no need for such a government to serve it. Lisa said, speaking of which, I have also done the maintenance of Sabodi before. Archipelago worked safely, and also participated in escorting the Gold in the Sky ship. Tia also helped the nobles of a kingdom to put down a rebellion. Some people, obviously not human at all, but turned their back on a noble name. The result can be wanton stepping on other people's head, and Marine has to defend them with all his strength. We have long been confused about this kind of thing. Yeah. Tia said next to her, I used to think that pirates who burn, kill and loot at sea are really the biggest villains. But then I gradually discovered that some people are also wanton killing and looting, but they still wearing a legal coat, and we have to protect it with all our strength. This kind of thing is really boring. It's better to go to some hidden island with Lord Fu Kun and live your own life. Hearing the words of the two, Sha Luo couldn't help being moved. At the same time silently, I'm sorry, but I really didn't plan to live a completely reclusive life as you think. After all, since you have traveled to this world, as a man, it is important to love your wife and daughter, but you have to do something, right? However, since the limelight is in full swing now, it's not bad to take a little seclusion. It's great that you can think of it this way. Sha Luo immediately said, it's not too late, we'll start right away. But, having said that, she looked at Regina next to her. Sister-in-law, Zephyr, what is he doing now? He is training some marine officers on the opposite island of Bologna today, Regina said. I am very worried. If I am rescued now, will he be targeted by those above, or even attacked directly? It's almost certain to attack. Sha Luo said, in the eyes of those people, Marine is just their lackey, their tool, and their chess piece. The lackey has a different heart and can be slaughtered at any time, and the tools have hidden dangers and can be killed at any time. For another, if there is a problem with the pawn, you can discard it at any time. Fortunately, it will take some time for the news to spread, and with Zephyr's strength, it is not so easy to be taken down directly. Now, I will place you first, and then find it immediately. Oh, Regina nodded uneasily when she heard his words. Then what should I do? I will trouble you, hurry up. Let's go to the port first and grab a boat. Sha Luo put away the black recording phone bug and said. It is good. The crowd then quickly went to the port in the west. Soon, they reached the coast. In front, I saw 5 or 6 ships of various sizes parked there, and there was also a medium-sized warship. Sha Luo frowned. The next moment, an invisible coercion swept across a large area. Plop. 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 Except for Lisa, Tia, Regina and others around Sha Luo, everyone in the port fell one by one. Go to that warship, Sha Luo said. Immediately, the first dodged, to the deck of the warship. Then, looked at the ordinary soldiers who fainted. Sha Luo quickly flickered. Shoo, shoo, shoo. One by one, pick up the fainted soldiers and throw them on the slightly soft, turquoise shore of the Sabodi archipelago. Then, the anchor was pulled out of the water. In the back, Lisa was holding Guion, Tia was holding Hina, Regina was holding Valiant, and they quickly boarded the ship from the ladder on the side of the ship. Lord Fu Kun, where are you going next? Lisa quickly walked to the rudder and said to Sha Luo. After all, she was a marine from a civilian background. Although she was later promoted to lieutenant colonel, she had also been a soldier once, and she was very skilled in driving warships. There is a magic triangular zone nearby, you know, Sha Luo said. Well, I passed by it a few times before. Lisa said, there is also a permanent pointer to the Seven Waters City. If you go straight to the Seven Waters City from here, you will pass by that area on the way. Then go in that direction. If there is a marine chasing along the way, then go to the magic triangle and get in. Sha Luo said, when you enter the fog, it's time to test your perception. It didn't rush in too deep. Basically for me, looking for someone in there was like playing hide and seek in a small garden. Okay, Lisa nodded. Then, be careful yourself, Sha Luo said. He also didn't tell Lisa and Tia, in fact, as long as she was in serious danger, he would be there right away. After all, the two are also practitioners, and it is not a bad thing to have more crisis awareness. If he wanted to rescue him every day, it would not only be detrimental to the growth of the strength of the two of them, but would also add a lot of unnecessary trouble to him. Well, Lisa and Tia said, Fu-kun, you should be careful too. Dad, go back quickly. Beside, Gion and Hina also raised their heads and said loudly. Well. Sha Luo touched the lovely heads of the two daughters, then dodged and quickly headed towards the red line. At the back, Lisa and Tia also raised their sails and set sail immediately. While Sha Luo was moving quickly, on the other side, things on the Sabodi archipelago had already reached Marie Joy's at this time. The CPO has always followed the principle of safety, although the action just now had to deal with only a few people who reached the level of lieutenant colonel at most, not only those who directly acted, but also some people outside. Follow from afar. After the previous situation of the 6 people, soon, the news of failure of the operation was reported. Although they are not clear about the specific process, and they have no time to report it slowly, but the CPO can send a large number of people and carefully prepared an operation that ends in failure in a blink of an eye. The seriousness of the matter and the strength of the other side, as can be imagined. Marie Joy. The world's highest power, 5 elders. As soon as the operation was launched, there was news of the failure, said the 5 elders in a black suit. It seems that the power behind them is really underestimated. Now is not the time to sigh slowly, said 5 elders Yi in a dark blue suit, since the other party has thwarted this operation. Zephyr's side will probably know the news right away. It depends on whether the other party has the ability to quickly pry open the mouths of the CPO's ba. Since the incident has already happened, there is no time to regret it now. 5 elders wearing a dark red suit said, although Zephyr ability was originally quite useful for Marine and the government, no matter what power it became, if there is a threat, it must be removed immediately. But the other party is probably rushing to Zephyr's side now. The bald-headed 5 elders Ding in a dark green suit said, we may not have time to compare the speed. Order Zephyr to go to Marie Joy's immediately. The 5 elders thought briefly, this time, we will send the most elite forces to welcome him. Besides, those women are likely to start absconding right away. 5 elders B said, we need to send Marine to pursue them immediately. It's not too late, act now. 5 elders circa several people quickly issued corresponding instructions. Soon Zephyr, who was training some Marine officers on Bologna, received orders that there was an emergency that required him to go to Marie Joy's without delay. Zephyr set off immediately. Not long after, they crossed the short sea area between Bologna Island and the Red Line and landed. Then, go to Marie Joy's. At this time, on the opposite side, a few men wearing puppet-like masks and dressed in strange clothes approached from the direction of the Holy Land. Zephyr Admiral. The leading man suddenly greeted Zephyr. Are you? Zephyr asked slightly suspiciously. CPO, the highest intelligence agency directly under the world government. The man have said, there is urgent information from Marie Joy's just now, and I need to inform you immediately. What information? Zephyr asked. Your wife Regina and son Valiant were traveling with the 2 ladies of the branch Major Sha Luo in Sabodi archipelago when they encountered a pirate sent by the Big Mom pirates to assassinate her husband's other women. Their attack, and Lieutenant Colonel Lisa, and Captain Tia, unfortunately encountered a poisonous hand. What? Hearing this, Zephyr's eyes widened. Regina and Valiant were murdered? Lisa and Tia, and even their daughter with Sha Luo, may also be implicated? How is that possible? Zephyr rushed forward and exclaimed excitedly, what happened? Shish. Before he finished speaking, at this time, on the opposite side, he saw the man in the lead suddenly and extremely quickly raise his hand. Then, a finger pressed on Zephyr's excitedly raised arm. Finger pistol. Flutter. With a strong force, he instantly hit Zephyr's arm, who had relaxed his guard due to being too excited. Not to mention that this is Marie Joy's, who shouldn't have had any enemies, as it has been for the past 800 years. Huh. Zephyr's pupils shrank suddenly. At the same time, several other men had already shot like lightning at this time. Push. 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 The violent force instantly exploded on Zephyr like a bomb. And Zephyr finally recovered from the intense excitement at this time. Then, his body flashed quickly. But even so, in the brief attack just now, his arm, and several places on his body, had already been severely injured by the opponent's attack. Porphyry. Zephyr vomited blood. The opponent is not a generalist at all. The Marine 6 styles and armament hockey have both practiced to a very high level. Who the hell are you guys? Zephyr fumed, knowing exactly how I'd be here, with such a skilled Marine 6 styles, and then suddenly attacking me? Although the other party has previously said that they are the highest intelligence agency directly under the world government, CP0, how could the world government's agency kill a Marine admiral? Everything, Zephyr couldn't figure it out for a while. Of course, this was also the original intention of the people on the other side. Deliberately reporting a half-true identity, and then telling false information, true and false, which makes it even more difficult to understand which is fake and which is real. In the chaos and shaking, Lu Chu more flaw. Seeing Zephyr's confusion, the man and the others stopped talking, and immediately chased after him. Take your life while you are sick. Take advantage of your fluctuating state and at the same time get injured by a surprise attack. That is the best time to take your life right away. Several people instantly surrounded Zephyr from several directions. Then they attack in a cooperative manner and at the same time. Seeing this, Zephyr Hockey activated, endured the pain he suffered on his arm just now, looked at the man in the lead, and punched him swiftly. But this time, shish. The man didn't dodge or dodge, but Zephyr punched him in the air. Huh? Zephyr's face moved, missed. But impossible. Obviously a very accurate shot. Unless, Devil Fruit's ability. In his surprise, the man on the opposite side had quickly raised his hand again, and his fingers came over to hit his empty arm and elbow, a little faster. Call. In an instant, Zephyr felt his right arm lose its strength. You. Zephyr stepped back quickly, frowning at the same time. The power of karma. On the opposite side, the man in the lead said lightly, after I hit you for the first time just now, you can no longer hit me. And only. Finger pistol. 9-star gun. Push, 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 push. Before the man's voice fell, the continuous finger pistol had already been like a storm. On the opposite side, Zephyr's brows tightened, and he quickly dodged with a look of knowledge. But even so, he couldn't completely dodge the opponent's attack. Those attacks, as long as they are within the attack range, no matter what, they will definitely hit themselves. Who? Zephyr had to rely on his armed color to force the next move. Then flash back quickly. There was a sudden pain in his body. But as more uneasy and anxious than this, is the news that the man on the opposite side said is true or false. If something really happened to them, then how could they be worthy of pursuing him for many years, and he had said that he would protect her wife, and at the same time, how could he be worthy of the man who gave his wife and daughter to him for protection? There was an uncontrollable panic in my heart. Never since Zephyr's debut has he felt like he's playing so badly and playing so hard. On the opposite side, several men saw this, did not stop, did not give him a chance to adjust his state, and quickly chased up. Cut. Zephyr cursed. It seems that this time it is someone who is a little capable. But at this moment, a familiar voice of a man suddenly sounded nearby. As long as you hit once, you can hit again. So, what if you never hit me? Hearing his words, several men froze at the same time. And then, Call, the leading man was suddenly hit by something and smashed to the ground. Boom. On the ground, smoke and dust flew up. Ziz. Zitza. At the same time, the figure of a man suddenly appeared with the sound of electric arc flashing. Then, take a breath. Forcibly use lightning to stimulate high-intensity cells in the body, so as to achieve a high level of activation that is not even suitable for now, in order to achieve a speed like a yellow flash. This time, I am afraid it will consume a little lifespan. But, long life, do not panic. Seeing the man's figure, Zephyr couldn't help but raise his brows. Sha Luo? The figure that appeared in front of Zephyr was undoubtedly Sha Luo. However, he didn't have time to speak slowly to Zephyr right now. Forcibly use lightning to stimulate the body cells with high intensity, so as to achieve a high degree of activation that is not even suitable for now, in order to achieve a speed like yellow flash. This state is originally used for quick fixes. If he wants to use it as a regular skill that has no side effects and can be used with Ju, he has to practice for a few more years like 4th Reikage in Hokage. That being the case, shoo. Sha Luo's figure flashed like electricity. Seeing this, the pupils of the other people around couldn't help shrinking. Then, after seeing and hearing the color, I wanted to respond quickly. But at this time, everything is still too late. Who? Just like the man before, the surrounding people slammed down to the ground in an instant. Only the two people who were originally standing farther away quickly dodged away. Then, in shock, he looked at the battlefield ahead. Rolling. This is simply rolling at speed. How can humans achieve such speed? You must know that, including myself, the few people present have already practiced Marine 6 styles as skilled as eating and sleeping. And observation hockey is also not lacking. But even so, even if the knowledge and color can capture him, the body's reaction speed is still far less violent than his. In front of him, he is clearly Grandmaster Marine 6 styles, but he seems to be an old man who has been lying down for a long time and his muscles are slow. And he seems to be a young man who is full of energy all day long, ready to enter the fighting state at any time. Shesh. Shish, on the ground, the leading man suddenly supported with both hands. Then, without reluctance to fight, as if flying, he dodged to a distance of 20 or 30 meters. There was already a bloody taste in the mouth. I used iron body just now. But even so, he was directly beaten and his brain was shaking, and he seemed to lose 2 teeth at the same time. Opposite armament hockey, at least the level of the elite vice admiral. Coupled with his godlike speed. Is this more than the rumored admiral level strength? This is downright admiral level. Even if he doesn't sneak attack, what benefit can I get in front of him now? Withdraw. Back quote? The man said decisively without hesitation. Marine Major Sha Luo, who should be in the South Blue 137 branch, suddenly appeared here, and because of him, the mission has failed again. This time, at least bring the other party's identity and combat power information back. Shoo. Shoo. Hearing his words, the men who flashed out did not hesitate, and they didn't even look at the other people who were still lying in the battle circle. Cut. Sha Luo cursed inwardly. Wait for me to practice for a few more years, and you won't be able to run. Right now, although his speed is fast, he still doesn't have the kind of perverted attack that Whitebeard can knock down Admiral with one punch. If the other party doesn't run, he has complete confidence and will eventually knock the other party down, but the other party is trying so hard to run, that he can't chase and kill several people on the other side at the same time. Several people ran away in a blink of an eye. And Sha Luo, directly facing the other 3 who were still lying on the ground, made a few punches, and then made a few strikes. The skills of this group of people are stronger than those of the previous group in Sabodi Archipelago, and their mouths are estimated to be tougher, so there is no need to consider interrogating them again. Seeing all this, Zephyr looked puzzled. Sha Luo, why are you here? Zephyr said, and, how is your wife Lisa and Tia, and Regina? Of course they're fine. Sha Luo said. Hearing his words, Zephyr breathed a sigh of relief. Great. Zephyr murmured. It was you who arrived and rescued them. And, who was the enemy? Want to know the truth? Sha Luo said, then, listen to this. Saying that, he took out the little black phone bug from the space. In the phone bug, there was a sound of interrogation soon. We are people from the Secret Intelligence Agency CPO directly under the world government. Of course, this operation was instigated by Marie Joyce. Hey, Dylan, what are you talking about, if you betray? Huh. Go on. Yes. Our original plan of action was to kill any or all of the wives or daughters of Major Marine Sha Luo, in order for him to provoke Big Mom Charlotte Linlin, thus leading to the Baloney War. The punishment, after the event is completed, you can also loudly declare that you are a member of the Big Mom Pirates, and that he was specially designed to assassinate her husband and other wives, so it is all pushed to the Big Mom Pirates. But also allow them to seek revenge and kill each other. Anything else? In addition, the wife of Marine Admiral Zephyr, who often travels with Major Sha Luo's wife, and his son are also within the target of killing. It happened that after the incident was over, it was all pushed to the pirates. Why even kill Admiral's wife and son? This. We don't know. The above order is just, kill it, and then call yourself a pirate and leave the scene, don't think about taking responsibility. That is to say, the government will suppress the situation, or even distort the facts, as it did with me, to encourage Zephyr Admiral, whose wife and son were killed by them, to become a deadly vengeance with the pirates. That's right. Okay, you can rest. Shish. A short recording, and that's it. Hearing the words in the recording, Zephyr fell silent. If I'm not mistaken, the reason why my wife was targeted was of course related to the death of the Tianlong people, Sha Luo said, and the sister-in-law was targeted. It was also about the time when she contradicted the Tianlong people. The people on the top. Don't worry about a woman who is dissatisfied with the world's nobles lying beside Marine Admiral's pillow. 1. Maybe not a very difficult choice, anyway, for them, there are more civilian women. It's really like the usual style of those descendants of God. Hearing this, Zephyr said slowly. So, what are you going to do? Sha Luo said, although Marine has his own justice, are you going to continue to serve those world nobles? What else is there to do? Zephyr said, I also agree with what happened to Regina. As Marine Admiral, Sha Luo, I am more familiar with the virtues of those guys than you are. In the past, many times, it was just forcibly using, the soldiers must obey orders to comfort themselves. Really? Sha Luo said. In fact, if you want to talk about familiarity with the Tianlong people, you Marine Admiral may not be familiar with me as a traveler. But these things do not need to be slow to complain. Then, what are you going to do next? Sha Luo said again. I'm in a mess right now. Zephyr thought for a while, then took a deep breath. For a long time, Marine's identity and position may have completely limited my vision. Next. Maybe I need to change my identity and perspective, and start anew. Observe and rethink everything. Is that so? Sha Luo muttered. Alright. If you forcibly brainwash Zephyr and talk about ideas such as revolution, those things that are forcibly instilled in not only may not be impressive and unswerving, but also cannot make Zephyr truly walk out of the political level. Some childishness. As a man, there are some things that you really need to observe, think about, and come up with beliefs that will allow you to follow through. As a friend, I only need to call or remind me occasionally, and that's it. As long as he doesn't continue to forcibly anesthetize himself as he used to, he will think about it by himself sooner or later. When the two said this, they saw the height of the red line, in the direction of Marie Joy's, and many people had already started to rush down. It's not advisable to stay here for a long time. Zephyr said, although you and I both have a certain amount of combat power, the Tianlong people also have their own hidden power and trump card, so it's better to retreat first. I'm also a little worried about Lei Jia. The situation over Na and your wives. Okay. Sha Luo said, they are on the route from Sabodi Archipelago to the Seven Waters. Let's go. After the two finished speaking, they cast moonwalk and left quickly. Sha Luo and Zephyr had left Marie Joy's in the blink of an eye. Then, cross the red line, first arrive at the Sabodi Archipelago, and then rush towards the Seven Waters. Speaking of which, Sha Luo, I have something I've always wanted to ask you, Zephyr said suddenly. What's the matter? Sha Luo used electromagnetic catapults to fly directly in the air, while Kaido, Emperor of the Nine Snakes, the blue enchantress Oribabena, suddenly announced with a high profile more than a month ago that the Nine Snake Pirates would be reorganized into the Nine Snakes Sea Knights. And issued, if there is no evil in the future, I will no longer accept any such astonishing remarks like, a bounty imposed by people, basically shakes the authority of the government to unilaterally define criminals from its own point of view, Zephyr said. That woman, although she is very smart and her strength is quite good, she made her debut with her. In 10 years, she doesn't seem like a guy with that kind of mind. Oh, that, I asked her to do it. Sha Luo curled her lips calmly. It was after the Bologna War that I happened to meet her somewhere and advised her to abandon the thieves and enter the country. Man. Sure enough. Zephyr laughed. You kid, you've already been having a different mind. It's just that the views on justice are not exactly the same as you who were Marine at that time. Sha Luo said, justice should not be a certain person or an organization in the first place. Is it a one-sided decision? What's more, those people have never aspired to justice, so how can they represent justice? Well, that makes sense. Zephyr laughed. When the two of them said this, they could only hear the sound of boom and boom from the front. Then he quickly looked forward. It's them, Sha Luo said. Ahead is the warship that Lisa and the others were on. Behind them, 5 warships were chasing them. Among them were several marine generals, who had already used moonwalk directly at this time, rushing towards the warship that Lisa and the others were on. I'll go first. Upon seeing this, Sha Luo said loudly. Immediately, electromagnetic ejection, moonwalk, and body activation were used at the same time, and in the blink of an eye, they had already rushed out of 100 meters. Behind, Zephyr couldn't help but admire. What a great speed. Although it is said that the speed of moving in a straight line is not equal to the speed of attacking and dodging in close combat on the battlefield, after all, what is more important in combat may be the ability to instantly explode and change direction at will, but the running speed is still involuntarily admirable. What's more, his bursts and direction changes in melee combat are equally good. Shish. At a very fast speed, Sha Luo arrived first, and in a blink of an eye, he had already taken one step ahead and rushed to the warship where his wife and daughters were. Immediately afterwards, the previous marine generals rushed forward. At the same time, his face was shocked. Sha Luo? The information that the people who were in Marie Joy's had brought back hadn't been passed yet, and everyone didn't expect that Sha Luo, who was supposed to be in a branch in South Blue, would suddenly kill here. Dad. At the same time, at the door of the cabin, Gion and Hina ducked their heads while listening to their mother's words, and exclaimed excitedly and proudly. Gion, Hina, aren't you scared? Sha Luo said. With Dad here, there is nothing to be afraid of. The two of them said almost at the same time. Really? It is said that the daughter is her father's caring little padded jacket. This padded jacket is really comforting. Sha Luo then looked at the marine generals who were rushing towards him. In front of her daughter, she was full of fighting spirit. Want to fight with me? Come on then. Who? On the deck, the sound of battle soon sounded. And soon after, Zephyr arrived quickly. Go back. Zephyr shouted. there is no justice you can uphold in this battle. Zephyr Admiral. Seeing Zephyr also coming, the Marine generals, who had been stunned by Sha Luo's attack, couldn't help but feel even more moved. In any case, the name and prestige of Marine Admiral is still very calming, which is incomparable to a major in Sha Luo. Zephyr. At the same time, inside the cabin door, Regina also exclaimed excitedly. Hearing Madame's voice, Zephyr's heart also warmed. Then, squeeze, raise your fist. Ma'am, you and your child are in danger. This time, let me protect you in time. Said and looked towards the opposite side. I definitely don't want to go back, come on then. After speaking, rush forward. Who. After a few minutes. Redline. Holy Land, Marie Joyce. Report. 5 elders, the warships sent by our army, found the robbed warship in the direction of Sabodi Archipelago to the 7 waters, and started an exchange of fire, but Zephyr Admiral and Major Sha Luo arrived later, and our army's fleet has been routed. Lost the other party's whereabouts. Damn it. Hearing the report from the intelligence officer, the 5 elders in a black suit couldn't help frowning tightly. Well, this is also expected. Beside, the 5 elders in a dark blue suit said in a deep voice, before they rushed back, they failed to take down their wives and children. Those 2 admiral-level characters joined together. Together, ordinary people, it is not so easy to keep them. Our power can't be used casually, said 5 elders, wearing a dark red suit. If that's the case, it's a problem. Anyway, let's issue a wanted notice first, said the bald 5 elders in a dark green suit. Marine ran away from an admiral. Sooner or later, this kind of thing will spread, and even be initiated by their master. Rather than that, it would be better to announce in advance and let those newspapers know how to report. Then, how to announce this incident? Said the bald-headed 5 elders wearing a white robe and holding a sword in a deep voice. It's not difficult. 5 elders thought for a while, and then said slowly, that mine-eater Sha Luo has been related to many big pirates, and Big Mom Charlotte Linlin even claimed that he was her husband. This is a well-known thing. This person is full of stains and has a criminal record of Charlotte Linlin. It is said that he used his usual tricks to lure Marine Admiral into defecting this time. This is indeed very suitable. Hearing this, 5 elders nodded. Let's do it like this, several others also said. The 5 quickly reached an agreement. Soon, all over the world, with news birds flying all over the sea, a message named, after Charlotte Linlin, the mine-eater Sha Luo repeats his old trick and successfully deceives Marine Admiral again. Let the world shook. In December 1488 of the Haiyuan calendar, an astonishing news spread all over the world. Mining eater Sha Luo repeats his old trick, successfully tricking Marine Admiral Zephyr into defecting. Both of them have now defected from Marine. Among them, the mine eater Sha Luo has been officially rewarded with a large amount of money for committing a major crime. The amount of the bounty offered for the first time is as high as 670 million Bailey. It's really unprecedented. After Big Mom Charlotte Linlin, another person was successfully deceived by the mine-eater Sha Luo. This person is extremely good at observing words and expressions, using words and eloquence, and deceiving countless people along the way, so you need to be very careful when dealing with him. First Big Mom Charlotte Linlin, and then Marine Admiral. This is going to turn the whole world with one mouth. If you don't make a move, it's already a big deal. It's so tough. How did you do it? Marine Admiral, not so easy to be persuaded. Charlotte Linlin, how could it be so easy to be deceived? It can only be said that the man is too strong. He used to be friends with Whitebeard. Whitebeard, shouldn't he be deceived too? East Blue, West Blue, South Blue, North Blue, Grand Line, New World. Countless places and countless islands were shaken by this sudden news. A few months ago, Charlotte Linlin, the big devil who dominated the New World, declared that Major Marine was her husband, which caused the whole world to be in an uproar, and only 4 months later, Marine Admiral Zephyr, again. Like his brother, he didn't even want Admiral's seat and ran after him. This kind of thing happens once is enough to shock. And now, it happened twice in a row. It's even reminiscent of his teaming up with Whitebeard 8 years ago. Everything instantly aroused the crazy discussion of countless people all over the world. Gu la la la. This person is extremely good at reading words and expressions, using clever words and deceiving countless people along the way. Is this a satire on me that Whitebeard has no vision? New World. Moby Dick. Looking at the newspaper in his hand, Whitebeard Edward Newgate frowned deeply. The government always likes to play this kind of trick, Marco said disdainfully next to him. Anyway, they have a lot of newspapers in their hands, and they can put a hat on anyone they want. I don't know what the truth of this incident is, Joz said. Since the second uncle has betrayed Marine, will he come back to New World next? In my opinion, he's more likely to go somewhere else, Whitebeard said, but now is not the time to discuss it. Saying that, he slowly stood up. Dad? Beside, Beasta asked puzzled. Marco, Joz, Beasta. Although I have different ambitions from your second uncle, this does not prevent the fact that he was my comrade in arms and your second uncle. The Whitebeard pirates family has always been reserve a seat for him to come back for a drink. Whitebeard said solemnly, now that my family is being framed like this, do I want to watch? Hearing this, everyone's faces froze at the same time, and they instantly understood what he meant. Marco, Joz, Beasta. Ready to go. If I, Whitebeard, have any foresight, I should ask those people in the government well about this matter. Yes, Dad. New World. IWC. Cake Island. Mom, important news, important news. Father, he has left Marine. Ah. The purple-haired girl of about 10 years old, Charlotte Blay, holding a newspaper in her hand, rushed towards the palace while shouting loudly. When he ran to the door, because he ran too fast, he didn't notice one of his feet, and his left foot stumbled on his right foot. The long nose is rubbed on the ground, and even the bridge of the nose is worn away. But all this, compared with the news in hand, is irrelevant. Behind her, Amando, an 11-year-old girl from the Snakehead clan, also walked quickly into the palace, with a murderous look on her face. Bray. What did you say? In front, hearing her words, Charlotte Linlin, who was sitting there, frowned. Mom. The latest news. Bray said on the floor, my father has left Marine. The newspaper said that my father's old trick was repeated. After cheating Mom you last time, he cheated again this time. Marine Admiral Zephyr left Marine. Huh? Hearing this, Charlotte Linlin's face was puzzled. Did you lie to me? Mom. These people are too damn it. Later, Amando said with a murderous look, what they mean is that the father is deceiving people every day, and they are tricking Mom that you like him, and they are tricking Marine Admiral to leave Marine and leave Marine. He said nothing. But how could my father be such a person? They dare to damage my father's reputation like this. If my father does anything with them, I must rush over and kill them all. Oh? Hearing her words, Charlotte Linlin couldn't help standing up. Then, she walked to Bray in a few steps, bent down, picked up the newspaper in her hand, and glanced at it quickly. It's really a damn group of people. Roman Charlotte Linlin said with a displeased face. But then, my husband must be very angry, right? Mom means. Preached. Would he be very happy if I helped him a lot at this time? Charlotte Linlin said happily. Yeah. Hearing this, Bree suddenly realized, if Mom helps Dad out of his anger, Dad will definitely be very happy. Very good. Charlotte Linlin smiled happily. Amando, go and call Katakori, Owen, Daifuku, Cracker, and tell them to get ready to assemble. This time, I'm going to directly destroy all the countries around the Red Line that have joined the world government. He'll be very happy then. Then come back here happily. Hearing the words in front of her, Amando's face was slightly startled. However, hearing the last two sentences, his face could not help but look forward to it. Okay, Mom. Amando said, I'll inform the brothers immediately. I'm going too. Bree also said. Come on. Charlotte Linlin said happily. This time, he can finally come back happily. After speaking, I started to think again. Grand Line, Savannah Island. At the same time that the world government spread the processed news widely, the boat that Sha Luo, Zephyr and others were on also arrived near an island called Savannah. Then, we will be separated here for a few years. Zephyr looked at Sha Luo and said, Regina and Valiant will be settled by you. Okay. Sha Luo nodded. Although Sha Luo once thought about letting Zephyr go to Nine Snake Island, in this case, after 10 years, Nine Snake Island will definitely have a lot of excellent combat power, but Zephyr now wants to walk around the world and look around, so, Sha Luo also changed the plan and did not force it. As I said earlier, as a man, there are some things that you really need to observe, think about, and come up with beliefs that you can follow to the end. As a friend, he only needs to call or remind him when he is occasionally, and help him solve his worries, that's all. Next, I will take them to the Nine Snake Island in the Calm Belt. With the location of Nine Snake Island in its long-term national policy, they should be safer to live there. Sha Luo said, even yourself, if you want to go in, I'm afraid it's not that easy. That's really reassuring. Zephyr laughed. Zephyr. Beside, Regina whispered with some reluctance. Hearing this, Zephyr looked at her affectionately. Regina, we will be separated for a few years, and Valiant will take care of you. Zephyr said, What is this world like, and how can it be considered a true hero of justice before this child grows up? I want to get this straight first. Yeah. Regina Wen Iru nodded. As long as it's the answer you come up with seriously, I'll support it. Then, let's say goodbye first. Zephyr looked at Sha Luo and the others. Good. Everything doesn't need to be said too much. Although Zephyr is now the target of Marine's pursuit, but as the original admiral, as long as he is a little careful, how can he be easily caught? After a simple farewell to everyone, Zephyr dodged, jumped from the warship, and jumped directly to a remote coastal jungle nearby. Then he turned around and waved to everyone again. Then, go to the island. On the boat, everyone kept looking at his figure and disappeared into the jungle. Then, let's turn to, Sha Luo said. Lisa turned the rudder immediately, and the warship headed directly to the calm belt to the south. During the period, news birds flew by, and Sha Luo bought a few newspapers to read, and saw that the key reports above were all his own affairs. Dad, you're in the paper again, Hina said, but this time it's not a good thing. Sha Luo smiled helplessly and said, as mentioned above, your father is a big liar, and he can cheat wherever he goes. That's those people who are spreading rumors. Beside, Gion said, it's too damn it. When I grow up, I will take a sword like my mother, and then I will cut them down with one sword. Really? Sha Luo laughed. Have ambitions. This daughter is an admiral candidate in the original book, and like Lisa, she is a beautiful swordsman. Now that she has become her own daughter, at least she has to train to the official admiral level, right? Or, another world's #1 swordsman, then, he is the father of the beautiful swordsman. Well, thinking about it also brings a sense of ting. Of course, I'm just thinking about it now. Not to mention other swordsmen, the Hawkeye guy would not be so easy to surpass. Unless I can find a way to give my daughter 2 Easter eggs. Then when you get a few years older, you have to start practicing. Sha Luoshan touched little Momosagi's head and laughed. Little Momosagi responded solemnly with a sullen little zooey. Ha 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 ha. Sha Luo laughed happily. In this happy mood, everyone's boat continued to go to calm belt in the south. The same moment. Red line. Mariejoy. The 5 elders are also looking at the papers of several major newspapers after posting the corresponding, processed, news. It is worthy of being a newspaper company that can get into the big leagues. I saw that in the newspapers in front of me, they were all honestly reporting according to the government's announcement, although those guys ran faster than anyone else on any news, and often they like to add oil and vinegar, but this time, they are very clear on matters concerning the government's face and government authority. No one dares to mess around. In this case, even if they want to say something, they have no chance. The 5 elders in a black suit said slowly with satisfaction. Unless they dare to openly kill them and make a bigger scene, said the 5 elders Yi Chen in a dark blue suit next to him, otherwise, no newspaper would dare to interview them, let alone any newspaper. Will report different remarks. Fighting against the government's 800-year foundation, their power is still too small. The 5 elders Bing in a dark red suit said with a heavy smile. The remaining question is, said the bald 5 elders in a dark green suit. Just as he was about to say something, at this moment, he heard a rushing sound of running from outside the door. Immediately afterwards, the voice of an ordering officer came hurriedly. 5 elders. 5 elders. What's up? New World's newly rebuilt G5 branch came with urgent news. The Whitebeard pirates, entrenched near New World's Vegas Island, have been mobilized a few days ago and are heading for the G5 branch. Whitebeard Edward Newgate even sent 10 the 4-year-old son, Marco, arrived ahead of schedule and publicly shouted to the G5 branch. What did he shout? The 5 elders angrily. There are only 2 words. The commanding officer looked hesitant, and it seemed that it was not a pleasant word. Speak. The 5 elders said solemnly. Hearing this, the officer took a breath. Then, read aloud. Listen, saying that my old friend is a liar, is that mocking me for Whitebeard's vision? Do I have the right vision and strength to see people? Then, let's take a good look at it. What? Hearing this, the 5 elders immediately frowned. And at this time, outside, another sound of running came over. 5 elders. 5 elders. What's the matter? The Suffolk Kingdom, a member of the world government in the New World, sent an emergency rescue request. The Big Mom Charlotte. Linlin, the devil who is entrenched in the all countries, recently sent the second son Charlotte. Katakori sent it a blatant declaration of extermination. Sha Luo and Linlin claimed that the world government had insulted her and her husband at the same time. 3 days later, Sappho. The Kingdom of K will not stay behind. And this is just the beginning. The Kingdom of Suffolk asked Marine to send admiral support immediately, or send a large number of warships to transfer the domestic Transfer the domestic royal family and nobles. What? Call. Hearing the urgent report of the messenger officer, 5 elders could not help but punch the table in front of him heavily. What's happening? Didn't he just use the past experience of that guy named Sha Luo to frame him a little bit, and as a result, the Whitebeard pirates and the Big Mom pirates went crazy together? Whitebeard blatantly declared war to Marine G5. Sha Luo and Linlin directly issued a declaration of extermination to the participating countries of the world government. And the actions of these two were just the beginning? In the follow-up, Whitebeard will continue to attack Marine, Charlotte. Linlin continue to slaughter the island? This kind of feeling as if poking a hornet's nest. What is going on? That guy named Sha Luo can't move like that? 5 elders. 5 elders. In the midst of such annoyance, outside, the voice of an ordering officer came again. What's the matter? Really is like poking a hornet's nest, one urgent report after another. 5 elders has a kind of rush that directly overturns the table in an instant. There is an important report from the South Blue 137 branch. The herald officer who came in last did not know what had happened before. Hearing the rather annoyed and impatient tone of 5 elders he was stunned for a moment, and then he continued. Soon reported. The ship of the 9 Snakes Seamen, which was asked to focus on because of the announcement of the establishment of the 9 Snakes Seamen 2 months ago, reappeared in the South Blue 137 branch today. Did those women also jump out to make trouble? 5 elders also said angrily. It's not. Said the commanding officer. Even Oribabena, known as the Blue Enchantress, didn't show up this time. But instead, the previous Emperor Gloriosa, who disappeared 10 years ago, seems to have he has come out again, leading the 9 Snakes and Sea Knights. Hearing the officer's report, the 5 elders raised their eyebrows at the same time. It happened at this juncture. 5 elders said, does that middle-aged woman have anything to do with that guy? Huh. The commanding officer was a little puzzled, not knowing who that guy he was referring to. Okay, we all know. The 5 elders said, send this news to Marine Marshal Kong at the same time, and let him come here immediately. Yes. Several herald officers were Kaido at the same time. Then, hurried away, and the order went. Call. In the hall, the 5 elders took a deep breath almost simultaneously. So, what to do next? Said the 5 elders. Whitebeard Edward Newgate and Big Mom Charlotte. Linlin, these two are not easy guys to deal with. The 5 elders said, the two of them were originally rivals in the New World for turf, but now, if they really join forces because of that kid named Sha Luo. On the marine side, an admiral has just been seriously injured, and another admiral has just run away, 5 elders said. At this juncture, unless we use strength that we haven't used for many years, even if we urgently recall the Garp guy. Come on, plus Kong and Sengoku, I'm afraid it's enough. In addition, the kid named Sha Luo himself, and the Golden Lion Shiki from a few months ago, may also shoot at any time. 5 elders said, we may be forced into a situation we have never experienced before. Unfavorable situation. Hearing his words, everyone was slightly silent. This time, we were really careless. After a long while, wearing a dark green suit with a splayed beard and a Madara birthmark on his forehead, the bald 5 elders said slowly, for 800 years, world government has always maintained a certain advantage over pirates, but has never completely eradicated them. Keep pirates harassing outside and attracting attention outside, so that people will pay more attention to them, and at the same time have to rely on our power, and we also have the best reason to maintain a huge military force and maintain absolute authority. In this way, one by one, islands and countries gradually surrender to our flag. Pirates can be said to be our important pawns. But, some of the pirates that have appeared in the last 10 years, and this kid named Sha Luo, are probably beyond our control. Apart from the trump cards, the other powers that are easy to show off now are probably not enough to suppress them. 5 elders a tall man with long beard and white hair, said, to deal with these guys, I'm afraid you need to start some special plans. Okay. What happened to the final weapon plan? Said 5 elders, the golden-bearded 5 elders, 100 beasts, Kaido. If it can be successfully developed, even Marine Admiral will be forcibly wounded like Sha Luo and Linlin. The strange power is nothing to be afraid of. It is said that its completion rate has reached 70%, and I believe it will be ready for use soon. 5 elders with the sword said, but before that, Whitebeard and Charlotte. Linlin attacked this time, but it's not easy to deal with. According to the previous confirmation by Zephyr and Sengoku, Whitebeard's strength is still higher than that of Charlotte Linlin, and one Charlotte Linlin will make Baloney Island like that. This time, the G5 branch, and others in New World the branch, I am afraid you must be mentally prepared to fall again. The 5 elders said slowly, but fortunately, that Charlotte Linlin is still a woman after all, and her thinking is as straightforward as the woman from Nine Snakes. The slaughter of the government's affiliated countries, although the government will lose some dignity, but at that time, it can also highlight the evil of the pirates and the justice of the government. For us, this may not be a completely bad thing. Anyway, those ordinary people, it doesn't matter if they die. The bald five elders Ding said, the lost authority can be made up for in justice. When the time comes, let's do a little bit of work on this. The five elders said slowly. But, aside from her, the Whitebeard man and the two emperors of the Nine Snakes are really a headache. Marine also seems to need to step up the training of combat power. Pirates in this era can be very different from the previous ones. One by one, let Garp or Sengoku personally participate in the guidance of Marine school students. That's all it takes. The five quickly discussed various plans for the next. They have always been calm and skillful, but they have never felt that there have been so many headaches one after another like in recent days. And all of this is because of that young boy named Sha Luo. While the five elders were having a headache, dealing with Whitebeard's successive attacks on Marine's branches. After several days of sailing, Sha Luo's boat finally reached the calm belt on the south side of the Grand Line. Then, drove straight in. Calm belt has no wind and waves, so there is no need for any large sailboats. Sha Luo immediately released the spare rescue boat in the ship, and took everyone to sit on it. Then a sky-based fall destroyed the warship. Then, driving the electromagnetic ability, driving the boat, like a yacht, and driving forward quickly. Under the sea, there are also sea kings who want to approach from time to time. But before it got close, it was as if the fish had been electrocuted and felt a burst of discomfort. And, the closer you get to the boat on the sea, the more obvious that feeling is. The instinct of the creatures made many sea kings choose to retreat. Of course, there are also some sea kings that go straight to the surface. The latter results are self-evident. Although armament hockey may not be as good as the swimming king, Rayleigh in the original book, but because of years of hard training and the influence of electromagnetic ability, Sha Luo's observation hockey is stronger than Rayleigh, Zephyr and others. Those beasts under the sea activities, he has long been aware of it. Dare to rush up, it's a conqueror's hockey, plus a railgun with armament hockey. In this way, the boat is moving fast in the calm belt. Although calm belt is windless, it is not the only island of Nine Snakes. Along the way, occasionally you can see some small uninhabited islands or reefs, and everyone will take a rest on it, and then continue to move forward. A few days later, the shadow of Nine Snake Island was finally seen in the distance. Although the island of Nine Snakes is protected by the calm belt, because there is no wind, no waves, and no magnetic field interference, its location is actually well determined, unlike some islands in the Grand Line, especially New World, due to various disturbances such as magnetic fields and ocean currents. The relative position on the sea surface has not been accurately drawn for hundreds of years. As long as the calm belt can be guaranteed to run smoothly, it is actually not too difficult to find the Nine Snakes. Of course, that as long as for Marine, it will take at least 10 years of scientific research. Sha Luo then used electromagnetic power to let the boat continue to approach Jushi Island. At this time, on the other side, a red boat pulled by a huge swimming snake was also approaching Nine Snake Island. Sha Luo frowned slightly. Nine Snakes and Sea Heroes, backquote. That red ship was undoubtedly the ship of the Nine Snakes. It looked as if they had just returned from going out. On the boat, the lookout also noticed Sha Luo's side. Old Captain. On the sea ahead, see a small wooden boat, shouted the lookout, no sail, no oars, it seems to be the man's boat. What? Hearing the lookout, on the deck, many crew members walked to the side of the ship and looked over here. Then, the red boat changed its direction slightly and started heading towards Sha Luo. The two boats were only 10 meters apart soon after. Hold tighter. Sha Luo said to everyone on board. Yeah. Hearing this, everyone quickly followed suit. The next moment, Sha Luo frowned. In an instant, the small wooden boat that was originally sailing on the sea suddenly flew straight up. Oh. Seeing this scene, everyone in Nine Snakes could not help but open their mouths in surprise. Spaceship? Cow. As expected of the man that Snake Ji-sama has a crush on. Everyone quickly gave up a seat. Before long, the spaceship landed steadily on the deck. Sha Luo? On the boat, Gloriosa came over. I heard that a lot of things have happened to you recently. We were looking for you in South Blue, but we didn't expect to meet you here. These are your wives. As he spoke, he looked at Lisa, Tia, and Regina beside Sha Luo. This is the wife of the former Marine Admiral Zephyr. Sha Luo pointed to Regina and said, the one in her arms is their child. Since you guys just went out, what happened, probably know something too. Marine Admiral was deceived by you. This is what the government said. Gloriosa said, I believe there must be a lot of inside information. The government's methods are not surprising. Yes, unlike Aurora Babena and Hancock in the original book, this Gloriosa is one of the few emperors of the 9 snakes with normal brain circuits and relatively stable. But those things will come later. Gloriosa added, beyond this, I have 2 important news to tell you. 2 news. Sha Luo was surprised. Which 2? One by one, where's Aurora Babena? This. Gloriosa glanced at the 3 or 4-year-old little Momosagi and little Hina next to him. Forget it, one of them. Let Nana tell you when it's time. As for the other, look at yesterday's newspaper. Saying that, he handed over a newspaper. Sha Luo took the newspaper and glanced at it quickly. I saw above, with prominent titles, several eye-catching messages were listed. The Whitebeard pirates attacked Marine's branch. Marine, reinforced by Admiral Sengoku, bravely resisted and maintained the majesty of the government. The Big Mom pirates took advantage of the battle between Marine and the Whitebeard pirates to slaughter the kingdom of Suffolk in the name of revenge for the husband, showing the brutal nature of the pirates. Marine has no time to spare this time, but he will definitely seek justice for the kingdom of Suffolk in the future. The main characters who participated in the massacre this time were all rewarded with high rewards. Charlotte Katakuri, with a bounty of 320 million Bailey.
Charlotte Owen, a bounty of 230 million Bailey.
Charlotte Daifuku has a bounty of 180 million Bailey. Charlotte Cracker, a bounty of 170 million Bailey. Charlotte Compert, a bounty of 150 million Bailey. Charlotte Amando, with a bounty of 120 million Bailey. The above thieves, whether they are Marines, civilians, pirates, or pirate hunters, kill them all and go to the government to collect the bounty. After the Suffolk kingdom was slaughtered, the Big Mom pirates continued to attack, and the government reminded the corresponding citizens to evacuate as soon as possible, especially Augustus Gaba, Beale, Dressrosa, extremely likely to be the next target. Also, the leader of this incident, Sha Luo, the Thunder Eater, has raised the bounty to 770 million Baileys. The government will definitely fight the brutal pirates to the end and seek justice. Looking at the report in the newspaper, Sha Luo couldn't help frowning deeply. Damn, I obviously didn't do anything. Charlotte Linlin, you slaughtered the island again? Moreover, you still take your son and daughter to slaughter together? Even the 11-year-old Amando has become a wanted target with a reward of over 100 million? If it goes on like this, it will definitely ruin her completely. Although in the name of venting for me, but, I didn't let you vent like this. Sha Luo took a deep breath. No, I can't let Charlotte Linlin went on like this. Moreover, think that Bree and Amando are calling their fathers sincerely. Then next it's also time for a good discussion, the education and training of my daughter. Sha Luo sighed when he read the news about Sha Luo and Linlin taking Katakuri, Amando and others to slaughter the island. This woman is very eager to herself. However, this pursuit method, I really can't agree with it. You know, Sha Luo is still a person who is biased towards justice, after all. If it is facing the pirates who burn, kill and loot, the Marine who fights against him, or the CP organization who dares to attack his wife, he will not be soft at all, and he has no idea how many people he has killed so far. However, it is still unacceptable to vent anger on completely innocent civilians and directly slaughter an island or a country. Even just thinking that that kind of thing happened because of him makes people feel uneasy for a while. Of course, in fact, even if he didn't cross Charlotte Linlin was originally a person who would slaughter the island from time to time in the original book, so he couldn't blame himself too much for this kind of thing. But even so, thinking about Sha Luo's butcher's knife, and the scene of Amando, who sincerely calls himself father, standing on the pile of corpses, Sha Luo can't help but feel anxious. Gotta deal with it quickly. This Charlotte Linlin, who publicly declared that you are her husband a few months ago, beside, Gloriosa said, what is going on between you? This. I used to stay in New World for a long time, and I did meet her more than 10 years ago, Sha Luo thought for a while. One day I was humming a song in New World. I was bumped into by her, and then she seemed to fall in love with me all of a sudden, and suddenly asked me to marry her. I saw that she was huge, and she was not a level person at all, so she refused on the spot and left. Who would have thought that she would still take this matter to heart, and after more than 10 years, she still claimed that I was her husband. But these past events will not be mentioned for the time being. The important thing is that this time she is because of I heard that something happened between me and Marine, so in the name of venting my anger, I started massacres. This kind of thing really makes people unable to stand by. Then what are you going to do? Gloriosa asked. Of course, Rush over immediately, stop her, or persuade her to go back. Sha Luo said, saving people is like putting out a fire, it's not too late. Otherwise, my wife, sister-in-law and others will be handed over to you to take them to Nine Snake Island for resettlement. Now, next, I'll rush to New World right away. Yes, but you at least meet Nana. Gloriosa said, this child has that kind of temperament. Whether it is to meet his sweetheart, or if he has something important to Sue or tell him, if she can't see her for a while, she will directly make herself sick. Although you may not be in the mood at this time, it is best to see her, and it will not delay much time. Is that so? Hearing Gloriosa's words, Sha Luo pondered slightly. Lovesickness, a specialty of the 9 snakes, is essentially a disease that holds back, so it may not just get sick when you are in lovesickness. Gloriosa's words are quite reasonable. Alright, Sha Luo said, then hurry up. Oh no, I'll go to the island by myself first. Anyway, the 9 Snake Island was already in front of him. Sha Luo immediately moved and went directly to the island. Later, when Gloriosa and the others saw that he said that they would dodge, they were momentarily stunned. However, thinking that he was also in a hurry to save people, his heart quickly appreciated. Let's go. Let's go back to the 9 snakes, Gloriosa then said to the female warriors nearby. Yes. The huge, swimming snake, slightly turned its direction, then pulled the red boat and headed for the 9 snakes. In the front, Sha Luo had already rushed into the island at this time, standing on a certain roof. He is extremely fast, and the defending soldiers on 9 Snake Island haven't even noticed him for a while. Then, how to find Orobabena next? Sha Luo whispered to herself. Going around like Luffy in the original book is a waste of time. And he has no time to let the women in 9 Snake Island slowly watch him. That being the case, Sha Luo frowned. Plop. Plop, plop, plop. The next moment, in the 9 Snake Island, the women fell in large numbers. At a glance, the entire island was a woman who fell to the ground. All the women were lying on the ground, moving and moving, completely in a state of being picked by the coon. If this is lifen, we can start filming now. Hundreds of thousands of women fell there, and this scene was also spectacular, can't help but mutter. However, now I have no time to slowly appreciate this spectacular scene. Shoo. 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 When the women were collapsing together, on the 9 Snakes Island, a figure quickly flashed out of a house located at a relatively high place, and then, after looking at it for a while, quickly flashed towards Sha Luo. Come. Soon, stopped in front of Sha Luo. Ah. Sure enough, it's the husband Kun-sama. I'll just say, who can have such a powerful haki? The woman was undoubtedly the Orobabena that Sha Luo was looking for. Sha Luo not only came to 9 Snake Island, but also stunned the whole island at once. Not only was he not upset at all, but he was excited. Sir Hu-kun, since you're here, why didn't you let me know? I'll meet you off the island right now. I'm a little anxious today. Sha Luo thought for a while. Listen to Gloriosa, you have something important to tell me. This. Orobabena's face suddenly moved when she heard his words. Then, the originally excited face quickly turned into a lot of koi like a little girl. That. Concubine. Orobabena said timidly. Forget it. I'll touch it myself. Sha Luo could basically guess what was going on, and at this moment, she simply said. Then, he stretched out his hand and hugged Orobabena into his arms all at once. And make her back against him. And Sha Luo's hand quickly moved to Orobabena's abdomen. Ah. Orobabena couldn't help but exclaim tenderly. However, he was allowed to press lightly on his abdomen. There seems to be a little bit of chi, faintly, can really feel the existence of a small life. This speed is fast. After all, it had only been about a month and a half since she and Orobabena did that thing, but the child in her stomach could already feel it faintly with her hands. When Lisa was pregnant with Gion and Tia was pregnant with Hina, it took 2 or 3 months before they could touch directly. Before that, if you want to feel them, you have to use observation haki. It seems that the woman of the 9 snakes, or the child in Orobabena's belly, is very different from other women in the outside world? Sure enough. Is it Hancock? Feeling the existence of that little life, Sha Luo secretly sighed and said slowly. Hancock finally became his own daughter. Sha Luo couldn't help but think again about the agreement with Whitebeard to exchange fruits. If the two of them got the corresponding fruits by chance, they would exchange diamond fruits, Mara Mara fruit and Whitebeard for sweet fruits and Wayawa fruits. At that time, I said, I want to give these 2 interesting fruits to my lovely daughters. But I didn't expect that. 8 years later, Hancock really won. It's really unpredictable, it's a prophecy. Exactly, Orobabena said excitedly. Husband Sir Kun, concubine. Concubine also has your child. Well, the child you give birth will definitely be as beautiful as you, Sha Luo said. I'm really looking forward to it. Really? Oribabena said with a look of joy. But, why do you seem to be a little gloomy, Mr. Kun? Hearing her words, Sha Luo was a little speechless. I am indeed a little sorrowful. I didn't expect that a pregnant woman is more sensitive than ever, and I actually noticed it directly. When Hancock became his own daughter, it was indeed something that I had never thought of when I first crossed over. However, forget it. Anyway, her mother Oribabena, except that she was not caught as a slave by the Tianlong people like her appearance is no worse than her, and her temperament is printed in the same mold as her, and she is infinitely inferior to her lover. After soaking in this, lousy is not a loss. As for Hancock, just be your daughter. This time, your father, I won't let you be captured as a slave like in the original book. Who dares to make you a slave? Lousy directly kills Marie Joyce and captures that man as a slave for you. Sha Luo took a deep breath and quickly adjusted her mood. Because I still have urgent matters to deal with. Sha Luo said, Gloriosa, my 2 wives, and my daughter are still outside slowly returning to the island. I came first, just to get together with you. A moment, and then we're going to rush to other places immediately. Are you in a hurry to leave so soon? Hearing this, Oro Rabina turned her head and said with a look of melancholy and reluctance. Seeing her close and nostalgic face, long eyelashes, moving eyes, and beautiful face, Sha Luo couldn't help but move in an instant. The next moment, somewhere in the body, there was a very unsatisfactory reaction. Your sister, this is Kai Luolu's Guyan. Forget it, it's a big deal, I'll speed up the road in a while, and then I'll rush back in time. As for now, one by one, follow me, Sha Luo suddenly hugged Aurora Babena. Then, heading towards the depth of the jungle, forest, on the island, it was a direct sprint like a high-speed rail with a speed of 300 kilometers per hour. The two disappeared into the jungle in a blink of an eye. When Gloriosa brought everyone back to the island, they saw that there were still women lying on the island. However, Sha Luo and Aurora Babena disappeared. After a long time, the women on the ground woke up one by one. At this time, a figure flashed nearby. Aurora Babena, with a red light on her face, flashed out from nowhere. Are these the other 2 ladies of Mr. Hukun, and the lovely daughters? Aurora Babena looked at Lisa, Tia and the others, and said with a smile. Aurora Babena, we met last time. Lisa smiled, I didn't expect that you would be convinced by the husband Kun-sama. Well, who told him to be so handsome? Aurora Babena stroked her cheeks with both hands, and even said a little self-consciously. Of course. Lisa laughed. Nana, what about Sha Luo? Beside, Gloriosa asked. He's already gone. Aurora Babena said, however, he told me that he wanted me to help him take good care of his daughter, so don't worry, I will do my best to take care of them in the future. Looking at Gion and Hina in front of him. This black-haired girl is Gion, and this pink-haired cute girl is Hina, right? Do you have anything to eat? I'll prepare it for you right away. Fu Kun, what the adults have said, the concubine will do it perfectly for him. Am I a very good wife? As he spoke, he became narcissistic again. What? Hearing her words, watching her ask enthusiastically for a while, and then become self-intoxicated, even Gion and Hina, who are only 3.5 years old, can't help but be speechless. This auntie is not very good, it's a little bit neurotic. However, neuroticism is better than coldness. Under that nervous reception of Aurora Babena, who was warm and self-indulgent at that time, everyone quickly settled down on 9 Snake Island. Lisa and Tia, and their daughters, were placed near Aurora Babena's own residence, and they could say anything they needed. As for Regina, let's not disturb the 3 women who work together. Regina lives in a secluded corner of Gloriosa, so she can raise her son with peace of mind. Zephyr's child Valiant is a boy. Although 9 Snake Island has always prohibited men from entering, Sha Luo is also the emperor's husband, so he can barely make an exception. However, according to the statement that Sha Luo left to Oribabena after the sex, before the age of 8 there is not much difference between boys and girls, so, the rules, sometimes it can be appropriate to be flexible, and it is not too late to raise Valiant to the age of 8, and then kick him out. What's more, Valiant will sooner or later see the outside world like his father, so it is impossible to stay on a woman's island all the time. Nothing is difficult. The other side. Because it is said that it is not suitable for such dramatic things during pregnancy, Sha Luo also F***ked on Aurora Babena, and then set off from the island and went directly to the Red Line. Fly away. According to the original book, it takes about a week by boat to reach Sabodi Archipelago from the island of Hydra. It took Luffy 2 days to fly from Sabodi Archipelago to 9 Snake Island. Although Sha Luo's electromagnetic ejection can be driven to a very high speed, if it continues at a high speed, it will be a bit boring. If you drive at a normal speed, it will take about 3 days to speculate. 3 days is not a long time. If it was Sha Luo who had just crossed over, or had just fought west with Whitebeard, he would lose his stamina after being ejected in the air for a while, and he would have to supplement his sleep halfway through. However, after 4 years of Tianlei body refinement, Sha Luo, who was originally just an ordinary person when he crossed over, has completely possessed the physical reserves of Marine Admiral in the original book to fight for a few days. You don't even need to sleep in between, and there is enough food in his storage space to replenish nutrition at any time. So, rush to the red line in one go. Shoo, shoo, shoo. Sha Luo's figure, along the edge of the comm belt, moved forward quickly. Because the comm belt is very regular, you don't have to worry about going off track and going around in circles at sea. 3 days later, the shadow of the red line finally appeared ahead. Sha Luo gritted her teeth and increased her speed.
Then, at a speed that ordinary people can't even notice, it quickly rushed to the red line.
Sha Luo let out a long breath. Fly for 3 full days. Next, I still have to find a place to rest for a while. After all, after crossing the red line, we have to continue on our way. So, where is the best place to hide and take a break? Sha Luo looked around quickly. At this time, I saw a silver-haired woman in front of me, looking at him in surprise. Then, he exhaled in a low voice, Thunder Eater, Sha Luo? Seeing the silver-haired woman, Sha Luo couldn't help but be taken aback. The reason is very simple, the woman, he knew. Especially the face shape and the figure were printed in the same mold as the little goddess, Nicole Robin, when he read the original book. The only difference between the two is probably the color of the hair. Ohara historian, in the original Nico Robin's mother, Nicole. Orovia? Did you meet her here? So, what about the others? Sha Luo quickly glanced around again. I saw only one very dilapidated hut near Nicole Orovia. However, apart from her, there are no other Ohara scholars. Sha Luo then stepped forward. On the opposite side, as if worried that he would suddenly appear and then suddenly disappear, Orovia also came over. You called me just now. Sha Luo said. That's right. Orovia said, Yuan, Major Marine, Thunder Eater, Sha Luo, is that you? Exactly. Sha Luo said, who are you? I'm Nicole Orovia, a scholar of West Blue Ohara. Orovia thought for a moment and said, a month ago, I heard from the 8 Treasures Water Army, of the Land of Flowers, that you heard from him a stone tablet with special characters was taken there, and after we studied it, we found that it seemed to contain important information, so we set off from Ohara to look for you to see the original. Then what? Sha Luo said, why are you alone? We started from West Blue, originally going to South Blue where you were before, Orovia Road, but, just arrived at the red line. I heard that you made some trouble at the marine side, and you have left the marine, don't know where to go. So we just split up, with some continuing on to South Blue, looking for you at sea, and others along the red line, towards the Holy Land, Marie Joy's, to see if we can find you. The 2 groups needed a middleman who would exchange search results at intervals, and I was the only woman in the team, so I was left behind. But I didn't expect that you, the middleman who stayed behind, met me here. Sha Luo said. Exactly. Orovia said. So, what do you think is recorded on that stone tablet? Sha Luo said, is it really a very important treasure map? Hearing his words, Orovia was slightly silent. Then gave him a quick glance. This man, with a lot of rumors on his body, is an old friend with the big pirate Whitebeard. He is called a husband by Big Mom Charlotte Linlin, kidnapped Marine Admiral from Marine, and also had a relationship with the Blue Enchantress Aurora B.A. Beard. During the Great War, he stole an important stone tablet from Green Pepper of the 8 Treasures Water Army. There are big incidents everywhere on him. Disgrace. But, what about telling him the truth? I was afraid that he would open his mouth. After all, when Qingjiao only showed them the photo of the stone tablet, he had made a fortune from Ohara. And Ohara, a group of scholars, did not have much money. If I say this, you may not necessarily believe it, but it is not a treasure map. Orovia said immediately, as for what is specifically recorded, firstly, we are still uncertain, and secondly, there are some things, maybe you don't understand too much now, but better. Because it is related to some hidden important history. Sha Luo laughed. You. Hearing his words, Orovia was startled, followed by a look of alertness. We are only doing academic historical research, we have no other intentions. Don't worry, I'm not from the government. Sha Luo smiled. Also, what matters is not whether you have other intentions, but. Did I have other intentions, you? Orovia looked surprised again. I am also very interested in your research, or the corresponding history. But one must be careful. Sha Luo said, the stone tablet can be given to you, but if one day you are killed because of it, but don't regret it. For true academics, even if you sacrifice your life, there is nothing to regret, Orovia said. However, academia always depends on people to pass on, Sha Luo said slowly, otherwise, just like the words on this stone tablet, after hundreds of years, no one can understand it, only quiet stand still and wait. Saying that, he waved his right hand casually. Shesh. The next moment, a huge square stone tablet appeared next to the two of them. Call. The heavy stone tablets suddenly smashed a cloud of smoke on the ground. Seeing this scene, Orovia was shocked again. Such a big thing, where did he get it from? Sure enough, this man who can shock the world again and again is not an ordinary character at all. But these are irrelevant now. Important. Historical documents. The text on the stone tablet is exactly the same as the text on the photo obtained from green pepper. If the research of the scholars of Ohara is not wrong, this is the most important source of ancient history. Looking at the words on the stone tablet, Orovia couldn't help but look excited for a moment. A kind civilization will often appear weak in the face of tyrannical force and even barbaric violence, Sha Luo continued slowly. If you want to inherit civilization alive, you might as well feel the crisis, ask for my help. That's all I have to say. Now, you can look at things slowly, but you can't hide such a large stone tablet. If you are guarding it here alone, maybe it will be the opposite. I will take a break for a few hours, you can confirm the authenticity of the thing yourself, and then rub a copy. I will continue to hold the stone tablet first. Hearing his words, although Orovia was a little reluctant to give up, he was reluctant to give up the stone tablet, but after thinking about it, his words also made sense, and then, he answered in a trance. And Sha Luo, at this time, looked around again, and then walked towards a rock. Soon, leaning against the rock, dozed off. I sold Orovia's favor a little bit, so it would be convenient to rush to save Robin in the Ohara crisis in the future. After all, the world has undergone tremendous changes because of myself as a traveler. Who can guarantee that the next time Ohara is slaughtered by demons, the giant vice admiral in the original book will arrive to save Robin? Who can guarantee that Aokiji will let Robin go and that Robin can escape smoothly this time? At that time, it is more secure to rush out by yourself. Of course, that's all for the future. Now, he must raise his spirits as soon as possible, and then continue on his way. Charlotte Linlin's side thing is burning eyebrows. Maybe you were just a little late, maybe an island is gone again? Sha Luo leaned against the rock and quickly rested. For him now, the sense of crisis is also very strong, so even in his sleep, if there is any crisis around, he can react immediately. This is already like an instinct, and it is not much different from the Whitebeard who, sleep and hit ace, in the original book. At the back, Orovia watched him walk near the rock and fell asleep, and at this time, he was slightly dazed. Academia always depends on people to pass on. A kind civilization will often appear weak in the face of tyrannical force and even barbaric violence. This man looks very young, not even a few years older than himself, but this vision and these insights are so amazing, revealing a kind of vision and maturity that he is completely incomparable. It was as if he had looked at the long river of civilization and history, and had overlooked the whole world from a higher angle. However, now I have no time to be amazed slowly. Let's take a look at the stone monument. Just as money fans saw gold, our collectors saw the authentic works of famous paintings from 1,000 years ago. Orovia quickly surrounded the stone tablet and began to study it. Sha Luo slept for 3 or 4 hours. Then, wake up soon. I opened my eyes and moved my hands and feet, still feeling a little tired. After all, having bombed her in the air for 3 days and 3 nights in one breath, this is really not something that ordinary people can do, and the consumption is not ordinary. However, now is not the time to take a break. It would be nice if there was a thunderstorm at this time, Sha Luo muttered to herself. Nearby, Orovia's surprised voice came. Sha Luo turned her head to look, and saw Orovia sitting nearby with a piece of cloth in front of her. After all, she is a scholar, and she is also a female scholar. She does not have such good physical strength and has been standing there looking at the stone tablet. Therefore, after identifying the authenticity of the stone tablet, she has quickly rubbed it, and then directly studied the rubbing. The text came out. At this moment, hearing Sha Luo's emotion, Orovia couldn't help but be speechless. Ordinary people would tremble when they hear the sound of thunder, and avoid it when they see a falling thunder. This guy, when he wakes up, the first sentence is that he wants to be struck by thunder. The rubbing is ready? Sha Luo stood up and said. Well. Orovia said, the stone tablet may indeed record important history. After meeting with others, we will return to Ohara and conduct further research. That's good, Sha Luo said. Since that's the case, I'm also leaving. Said. Walking to the stone monument, Shen touched it with his hand. The stone tablet quickly returned to the storage space. Seeing this, Orovia couldn't help but look surprised again. This ability is really convenient. Devil fruit? She is a scholar after all, she has read a lot, and she has heard of some things, so she probably knows about devil fruit. But if this is devil fruit's ability, what about his ability to want to eat lightning, and his title of Thunder Eater? Didn't you hear that a person can only eat one type of devil fruit? Forget it. It's useless to think about it. Anyway, I don't have any fighting power, and I'm not going to fight anyone. Thank you so much this time. Orovia said. Where are you going next? New world, save people. Sha Luo glanced at her briefly. I'm in a hurry, I'm leaving. When you're done, stop talking nonsense. The next moment, the foot moved, and the whole person has quickly jumped into the air. Then, the ability of electromagnetic levitation and electromagnetic ejection was activated at the same time, and the whole person was like a missile in an instant, moving towards the east at a high speed. Behind, Orovia looked at his figure that quickly left and became smaller in the blink of an eye with a look of admiration. After a long time, I remembered the newspapers I had read in the past 2 days, and then I suddenly realized what he was going to do. Could this guy come all the way from South Blue or from somewhere on the Grand Line to stop the Big Mom pirates in the New World? In order to save those islands, he ran like this. This is just unbelievable. Looking at the disappearing figure, Orovia was still in a trance for a long time. And Sha Luo, in just a few minutes, quickly rushed across the red line. Then, how do we find Sha Luo, Linlin and Amando? In the New World, there is no way to just rush forward along the comm belt like before. First of all, we need to determine the positions of Sha Luo and Linlin. Who? While flying, I was thinking, at this time, I saw a news bird flying leisurely in the sky ahead. Ah, yes. Look at the newspaper. Sha Luo's eyes lit up. Then, at the news bird, it flew over. Hey, stop. I'll buy a newspaper, Sha Luo shouted. Hearing words such as newspaper, the news bird also turned his head and followed the sound. The next moment, I saw a man, like a cannonball, shooting at him. Gia. The news bird was shocked, and in an instant, it almost fell directly from the air. Is this the rhythm of shooting birds and eating meat? Goo. Goo. In an instant, the news bird made a scream like a crow and a wild crane, flapping its wings desperately, trying to escape. But its speed can't be compared to the cannonball like Sha Luo. Sha Luo soon rushed to the news bird. Then, grabbed the news bird and tucked it under his arm. Goo. Goo. Newsbird struggled, and Sha Luo, the other hand quickly took out a newspaper from it. Don't worry, I didn't want to kill you. Sha Luo floated in the air and said. Hearing this, the news bird half understood, and looked at him with a stunned expression. It turns out that it's not just me that can fly. As for Sha Luo, she quickly looked at the newspaper in her hand to see if the newspaper she got had the information she wanted. I saw the front page of the newspaper, and there was the name of the Big Mom pirates. After slaughtering the kingdom of Suffolk, the Big Mom pirates continued to attack, and were approaching the kingdom of Bayer and Dressrosa ahead. Due to the need to transfer a large number of citizens, the two countries have recently experienced serious ship shortages. The government calls on the righteous people of the neighboring countries, assemble ships and assist in the transfer of the nationals of the two countries. Bialy. Dressrosa. Sha Luo frowned. Just when I was in New World, I prepared several permanent pointers in order to find Thunder Island, among which are these two islands. Immediately, he looked at the news bird under his arm and returned the newspaper to it. Okay, get on with your work. Goodbye. After he finished speaking, shoo, 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 bounced away. Goo behind, the news bird looked at the figure that was flying away quickly in midair with a shocked expression. In an instant, I almost forgot to flap my wings. Sha Luo turned and flew away. At the same time, he took out the permanent pointer of the kingdom of Bier and determined the direction. Another day and night passed quickly. This afternoon, Sha Luo was flying fast in the air when suddenly, a gunshot could be heard in front of her. And then, hoo, gunshots continued. Hearing the voice, Sha Luo frowned. Ahead is almost the kingdom of Bayer. Could it be that Sha Luo, Linlin and Amando have already started to slaughter the island? Sha Luo immediately accelerated. Before long, I saw that the kingdom of Biel was already in sight. However, on the sea ahead, there was no shadow of the pirate ship that Big Mom pirates were familiar with in the original book. There was only one large, luxurious-looking ship floating near the coast at this time. The deck of the big ship was full of various gold and silver treasures and other items, and there were also several pet dogs running around, barking from time to time. On the coast, a group of tall and strong men, with guns in their hands at this time, faced a large number of people crowded near the coast. The crowd seemed to be in turmoil. However, after the shooting just now, several people had already fallen in a pool of blood. For a while, everyone fell silent. Seeing this situation, Sha Luo frowned slightly. Then, with a bang, it landed on the side of the big ship near the coast. Sha Luo slammed onto the side of the big ship near the coast. At this time, people on the boat and near the coast basically didn't react. The crowded crowd on the shore was even frightened by the continuous gunshots just now. At the same time, a fat middle-aged man arrogantly turned towards the people on the shore and shouted loudly, "Don't come up. This ship has been taken over by our Mondola family and Norton family, you bunch of pariahs. Dare to squeeze over, or block the road and prevent us from moving furniture, shoot them all." Oh? Hearing his words, Sha Luo couldn't help frowning. When I glanced at the deck again at this time, I saw that there were indeed all kinds of gold and silver treasures piled on the deck, as well as some luxurious furniture, as if moving, and things with a little value were all carried up. The only thing that does not carry the people on the shore. In an instant, a scene from Attack on Titan that he had seen before appeared in front of Sha Luo's eyes. It is at the juncture of life and death. For the nobles, their belongings are still more important than the lives of ordinary people. And it's 100 times more important. In order to bring up all the valuable furniture, they even aimed the muzzle at the civilians. All this is also reminiscent of those draconians of Marie Joyce. One dog they raise is more important than hundreds of human lives. And since the world aristocracy is like this, the nobles from other places naturally follow suit. In the original book, the nobles of the country where Luffy, Ace, and Sabo are located, just to make a good impression in front of the world nobles, even set fire to a large number of civilians directly. A group of garbage. Thinking of this, some arcs of Ziz appeared on Sha Luo. And at this time, on the boat, someone finally noticed him. Who are you? A man shouted loudly, "When did you rush up? Why don't you get down? Get off." Sha Luo frowned coldly, "Which green onion are you?" I'm a noble of the kingdom of Bayer." The man shouted, "Get out of here now, we have an army." "Is that so?" Sha Luo said coldly, "Okay, I'll leave." After he finished speaking, his figure flashed and he was in midair. The next moment, a frown. I saw the boat, but it suddenly forcibly set sail, heading towards the sea, and sailed out. "Hey! What's going on?" On the boat, many nobles suddenly exclaimed, "I still have a lot of valuable things that I haven't brought on board. Which goddamn ship is sailing? It's not up to you to decide whether I should die or not." Sha Luo's voice came coldly from midair. "However, it's up to me to decide whether you should die or not. Enjoy the last 2 minutes of life." As he spoke, an iron solid ball suddenly appeared in his hand. Then, with a slight lift of his wrist, the iron ball immediately flew high into the sky at several times the speed of sound. On Sha Luo's body, some arcs appeared from time to time, connecting with the iron ball, allowing it to maintain high speed all the time. In a blink of an eye, he was submerged into the high clouds. On the sea below, the big ship was still forcibly heading towards the sea without any control. Then, high in the sky, a huge fireball, like a meteorite, fell down with a whistling sound of wind. Ah! How much on the boat, the nobles also noticed the huge fireball and screamed in surprise. But at this time, there is no way to save them. Boom! On the sea, there was soon a roar. On the shore, looking at all this and the figure of Sha Luo floating in the sky, everyone was stunned. Then, in the crowd, someone suddenly shouted out. "Yes, it's Thunder Eater Sha Luo. That's right, it's him. Why is he here? Could it be that you came to Tu Island ahead of time? I killed the nobles as soon as I came up, although I am very relieved. But next, are you going to kill us?" Ah! The crowd quickly boiled, and many people even panicked involuntarily. Seeing this, Sha Luo couldn't help sighing in her heart. This time, I really gave Charlotte Linlin the blame. Next, definitely stop her. Wait. Give me peace, Sha Luo said loudly towards the crowd. But as the saying goes, a person shouted, "Tu Dao, there," and in a blink of an eye, countless people believed it, and the crowd instantly panicked, and many people even wanted to turn around and run immediately. Sha Luo sighed again. Then, his brows furrowed. The next moment, a coercion swept across a large area. Everyone froze in unison. Plop, plop, plop. Then, they all fell down. On the coast, there was no more noise in an instant. Now, calm down, Sha Luo said to herself helplessly. Then look at the crowd. Don't worry, I'm not here to slaughter the island. No one dares to slaughter you with me. Sha Luo said loudly, but now, who can tell me where the big mom pirates are now? Hearing his words, people in the crowd couldn't help but glance at each other. Obviously, Sha Luo didn't use the highest strength conquerors, but just let them lose their strength. Except for some people with really poor resistance, it didn't make everyone faint. Before, I heard that they are about to approach Dressrosa, a man said weakly. Yeah. Someone echoed. So it is, Sha Luo said. Then, he looked at everyone again. Go back. Let the timid nobles roll as far as they want. From now on, I will cover this island, and who would dare to slaughter the civilians on this island? In the newspaper, I'll slaughter them. Hearing his words, everyone suddenly looked surprised. Is he here to cover the island? And, to protect them civilians? Really? Another man in the crowd said weakly. There is no time for you to doubt slowly. Sha Luo said noncommittally. Remember my words, a man will do what he says. Today I'm in a hurry, farewell. After he finished speaking, he stopped talking nonsense, took out the permanent pointer of Chu Dressrosa, looked at it, and left quickly with a swoosh. Behind, on the coast, everyone lay there, looking at each other. This man. Cow. I used to see various reports about him in the newspapers, and I once suspected that he was dipped in Whitebeard's light to kill West, or that he got Sha Luo through his smart words. T. Linlin, but now it seems. The ability to come directly from the air and go from the air, the ship destruction, attack that destroyed a large ship with one blow, the terrifying coercion that instantly brought down countless people in the audience, and the who dares to slaughter you, I will go. Slaughter them, Haki. Master. This is a real master. Countless people were amazed. While everyone was amazed, Sha Luo had already run away in a blink of an eye, and his figure soon disappeared from everyone's sight. At this time, only secretly exhaled. Damn, a good hero account, almost played by Charlotte. Linlin into a devil account. Fortunately, Lousy was witty, seized the opportunity and decisively abused the vegetables and successfully pulled it back. But next, Charlotte near Dressrosa. Linlin. I'm afraid it won't be so easy to deal with. Thinking of Charlotte Linlin, Sha Luo couldn't help but take a deep breath. The woman who beat Marine Admiral to the ground in the hospital a few months ago and still hasn't recovered, to be honest, she is really not sure that she can get her back now. You must know that decades later in the original book, in the World chapter, she was chasing the Straw Hats and beating them all the way. But now, because she has not married and had children with other people, her strength is probably a bit stronger than in the original book. It is said that she also had a fight with the Peak Whitebeard K, and it was only a slight disadvantage at the time. Such Charlotte. Linlin, if he starts to move, I am afraid that few people can parry.
What's more, he has been driving for 4 days and 4 nights, and only rested for 3 or 4 hours in the middle. To be honest, he is still tired and exhausted, and he can exert up to 70% to 80% of his strength. How to face Sha Luo and Linlin next, it's really a headache to think about. But man, that's how it is sometimes. Knowing that it can't be one by one. Force it too. Sha Luo walked forward quickly. 100 miles away, a world government member country, Dressrosa. At this time, the port that went out to sea was crowded with people. On the sea, 3 large ships have slowly left. The boat was full of people. At the same time, there were also 3 large 7 ships, which came quickly from afar, and then docked at the port. Quick. Get on board. A man who looked like an official, holding the microphone connected to the megaphone, shouted loudly, everyone, throw that large luggage down. Big Mom pirates are close at hand, we must bring the most people and set sail immediately. Everyone, throw away the large and unnecessary luggage. Under his loud shouting, people rushed to the ship that was docked in the port, without any large luggage on them. However, there were still many children in the crowd, wailing, not only because they were nervous and scared, but also because they had left a lot of toys at home or on the nearby coast. Lord Liku, you can get on the boat too, the official quickly said to a middle-aged man in his 30s nearby. That man was the current king of Dressrosa, Liku Dold-e. Let the civilians go up first, Liku Dolder said. Then he raised his voice. Everyone, don't be crowded. Keep order and get on board at the fastest speed. The royal family and the army will protect you. Lord Liku King. As he was saying this, a soldier suddenly shouted on a large rock nearby. Big Mom. The Big Mom pirate ship has appeared. What? Ah. Hearing the soldier's words, countless people in the vicinity couldn't help being startled, and even some children cried out directly. What should I do next?
An officer quickly said to Liku Dolder, continue to get on the ship and escape from the sea with all your strength, or return to the island immediately. However, there are not many hiding places on the island at all, said another officer. Damn it. Hearing the conversation between the two, and looking at the countless people nearby who hadn't boarded the boat, and those who had boarded the boat but haven't had time to escape, Liku Dold couldn't help frowning deeply. Then, one gritted his teeth and looked at a woman in her 30s and a girl who was only 1 or 2 years old in her arms. Angelina, the people of Dressrosa and Scarlet will be yours from now on. Husband Kun-sama. Hearing his words, the woman named Angelina immediately understood what he wanted to do, and could not help but let out a low cry. At this time, Liku Dolder directly took the microphone of the official next to him and raised his voice. Everyone in the escort team, your existence is to protect the people of this country. Now, the Big Mom pirates have appeared, and countless people need you to buy time. Everyone, come with me, board the get on board and prepare to attack. Husband Kun-sama. Lord Riku King. Hearing his words, countless people nearby suddenly shouted out in unison. I won't get on the ship. I want to live and die with Lord Riku. No way. The Big Mom pirate's ship is coming soon. Ah. Near the coast, there was boiling. And a few minutes later, the ship of the Big Mom pirates finally appeared in the sight of everyone. Mom. There are several boats on the sea ahead, preparing to escape from Dressrosa. On the boat, Charlotte. Cracker exclaimed. In addition, there is a boat that seems to be heading towards us. Oh? Hearing Cracker's report, Sha Luo and Tay. Linlin frowned. Could it be that this country's army still dares to fight? Shouldn't it be? Beside, Charlotte. Dafu said, last time in the Suffolk Kingdom, those troops were said to protect the royal family and ran very fast, but as a result, there was no resistance on the island at all. So, this time, do you think you can give it a try? Cracker said. As they spoke, on the opposite side, the ship was already approaching the Big Mom pirates. Then, the voice of a man on the boat came through the loudspeaker. Big Mom Charlotte. Linlin, I'm the king of Dressrosa, Liku Dolder. We Dressrosa didn't have any grudges against you before. If you definitely want to destroy the country, come to me, the king. Huh? Hearing Liku Dolder's words, Charlotte. Linlin frowned deeply. A little bit of backbone. Charlotte. Linlin murmured, but. Thinking that I'll let you go. Charlotte. Linlin shouted loudly. Zeus. Yes, Mom. Layan Zeston responded knowingly. Then, it took off from the ship and flew towards the sky. And it swelled rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, the entire ship where Liku Dold was located, as well as the large area of the sea nearby, were shrouded below. On the thundercloud, I saw a large number of arcs, which had already flashed violently. Watching this scene, countless people on the sea and the coast could not help but open their mouths in shock. Covered by that huge thundercloud, at this moment, even if Liku Dolder was on the ship, even if he wanted to escape, it was too late and there was absolutely nowhere to escape. Then, what is that? Countless people shouted in shock. And at this time, when their voices fell, thunder. Charlotte. Linlin shouted angrily, boom. The next moment, a huge thunder and lightning, like the Tianhe waterfall, poured down from the sky, towards the sea below, towards the boat where Liku Dold was on. Lord Riku King. Near the coast, and on several manned ships on the sea, countless people cried out in despair. Boom boom boom. There was a roar on the sea. The strong thunderlight can even make people unable to open their eyes. Moreover, countless people couldn't bear to see the scene where King Liku was smashed to death by lightning. The rolling thunder continued for a long time. It took about 10 seconds before someone endured the grief and looked at the sea in despair. And then, wait. Then, what is that? Someone seems to have blocked Big Mom's thunderbolt. Lord Riku. He wasn't struck by lightning. Someone seems to have blocked the thunderbolt. He is eating the thunderbolt. The huge thunderlight, like a mountain, like a waterfall, wanted to crush and pour down over the ship where Liku Dolder was. However, at the bottom of the mountain, at this time, I saw a figure of a man of about 2 meters, with his arms open, and a large piece of thunder and lightning with golden light like a funnel extended from his arms. The huge golden funnel stopped the mountain-like thunderstorm. Then, the man held the huge funnel in the endless thunder on the funnel, as if he was holding a huge wine vat, and let the wine, in the wine vat, gurgling into his mouth and into his mouth. In your own throat, pour it directly. Grumble rumble. A man's drinking capacity seems to be infinite. And his stomach was like a bottomless suction hole. Only in the blink of an eye, I saw that the originally huge thunderbolt had shrunk rapidly. Soon, only a pond the size of a pond remained. Seeing this scene, on the coast, in the escape boat on the sea, on the boat that Li Dold was on, everyone's eyeballs almost fell out. Impossible. That man. He is eating Thunderbolt? That guy is. Mom. That man, he is. That's right. On the Big Mom pirate ship, Charlotte. Linlin strode towards the bow excitedly. He is my husband and your father, Sha Luo. Finally see you again, Charlotte. Linlin shouted loudly. It's Thunder Eater Sha Luo. He can actually eat lightning. He can still fly in the sky. God. Is this here to save us, to save King Riku, or to kill us? The legendary man finally appeared at this time. Countless people, at this time, finally came to their senses and shouted. No one expected that such a thing would happen suddenly at that critical moment. At the same time, no one can predict how all this will develop in the future. Grumble rumble. When everyone was in disbelief, in midair, Sha Luo finally swallowed all the remaining thunderbolts. Then he wiped his mouth happily. At the corners, there was also a throbbing lightning arc. Not bad. My stamina has recovered by an additional 10%, Sha Luo looked satisfied. But then, he frowned slightly and looked at Charlotte. Linlin on the opposite side. And Charlotte. Linlin, who was also standing on the bow at this time, looked at him in the air opposite him with excitement on his face. Sha Luo, my husband, you are finally back, Charlotte. Linlin said loudly. I didn't promise to be you. Sha Luo said loudly. Halfway through, he stopped. He originally wanted to say, I didn't promise to be your husband, but when he saw Charlotte. Linlin's excited face, and beside and behind her, Katakuri, Owen, Daifuku, Cracker, and Amando, who was also excited, couldn't help but swallow her words. He really never promised Sha Luo and Linlin to be her husband. But, no matter what, she has been chasing her for more than 10 years, fighting against baloney for herself, and directly attacking the countries that joined the world government, although I do not agree with any of the practices myself, but, no matter what, the intention is undeniable. And now, there are countless people around Dressrosa watching, and at the same time, the children she received for her are also watching the reunion of the two, looking forward to the return of their father. At this time, say, I never promised to be your husband, by yourself. This woman, I am afraid that she will directly become the laughing stock of countless people. At the same time, Amando and the others, who had been eagerly calling themselves their father, didn't know what would happen to them.
In an instant, Sha Luo remembered the words of a mermaid princess in the original book who was sprayed by many people with, Mother Biao.
The kids are watching. Although that sentence is not completely correct, because sometimes, some history cannot be forgotten casually, even if it will inherit hatred. However, the matter between him and Charlotte. Linlin when he first crossed over was indeed a grudge in the past. It should not be allowed to affect the present and future of Amando and others. That being the case, be a husband, be a husband. I didn't promise to be the kind of man you imagine to be sheltered by you. Sha Luo immediately changed his tune and said loudly, I have my ambition, and sooner or later I will change the world, but it's not what you are using now. This way. Oh. Charlotte. Linlin wondered, then what kind of method do you want? Chivalry is righteous, with clear grievances and grievances. At the same time, it also allows everyone in this world, regardless of race or class, to live with their heads up, instead of someone arrogant and someone who has to bow their heads and kneel to garbage. Sha Luo said loudly, I was persecuted because I offended the world aristocrats, Tianlong people. This revenge will be avenged by the Tianlong people in the future. I don't need you to take other unrelated people on my behalf, and I still bring the children with me. Raise the butcher knife. What's wrong with the children? Sha Luo said. Linlin said, their father was persecuted. As a child, of course, he must vent his anger for his father. Then you don't need to vent your anger on irrelevant people, Sha Luo said loudly. Hearing his words, Charlotte. Linlin was stunned for a while. At this time, he seemed to vaguely understand that he had done a lot of things happily, but he was not happy about it. So, everything is useless. It didn't make him happy at all, but made him very unhappy? In an instant, Sha Luo and Linlin felt annoyed. At a time like this, why do you have to worry about so much? Sha Luo said loudly, the icing sugar creamer told me that as a pirate, if you want something, just grab it. The thief doesn't need to care who the other party is. If the people of the world government offend you, I will kill the people in their alliance countries. You should also be relieved? I didn't feel any relief, Sha Luo shouted helplessly. Hearing his unthinking response, Charlotte. Linlin was slightly silent again. So, Sha Luo. You're just here to stop me, not to come back with me. After a long while, Sha Luo's special Linlin said with a disappointed face. Hearing her tone, Sha Luo was also slightly startled. Originally, I wanted to say something ruthless almost directly, but now, I really can't be ruthless. If you are willing to go back, well, I can go back with you, Shaluo said. Damn it. But hearing his words, Charlotte Linlin suddenly became furious. Prometheus. Yes, Mom. Hearing her cry, Sunfire Prometheus quickly responded. Then, it quickly flew into the air in front of Shaluo and Linlin. Charlotte Linlin jumped and stood on Prometheus. Mom. Seeing this, Amando and the others also understood what she wanted to do, and couldn't help shouting with a sense of dissuasion. But at this time, Shaluo and Linlin had no intention of listening to their advice. It's like a young couple who has worked hard to prepare a gift for a long time, originally full of expectations, but the other party does not appreciate it at all. The disappointment can be imagined. And Shaluo, Linlin, is a person who must vent his emotions even more. See Charlotte. Linlin jumped into the air, and on the opposite side, Shaluo also sighed. It seems that we can't have a good conversation, Shaluo said. As a pirate, if you want something, just grab it, Charlotte Linlin said, annoyed, including her husband. Hearing this, Shaluo was speechless. Although for various reasons, Charlotte Linlin's appearance is dozens of times more beautiful than in the original book, and he is also eager to himself, no longer has more than a dozen husbands like in the original book, but this temperament is really complete. There is the shadow of the Big Mom in the original. In the words of someone in the original book, Mom's anger will not subside until it is fully vented. In this case, it seems that this anger can only be sent to himself. Okay. I won't run this time. Shaluo took a deep breath, gritted her teeth and said, I came here this time to stop you, and to talk to you about the training of your children. The question, since that's the case, then use your fists to decide the weight of your words. But, regardless of the victory or defeat, this dress rosa will be covered by me from now on, and you can't use them. What? Hearing his words, all the people of Dressrosa on the sea, near the coast, were all shocked. Then, everyone was in unison, a boiling. He actually made Dressrosa his territory. Whether we win or lose, no one can use Dressrosa. Hero, savior, god, Shaluo. Unexpectedly, before Shaluo started the war with Charlotte Linlin, he directly assigned Dressrosa to his name, and demanded that, regardless of victory or defeat, they cannot be used for surgery. Hearing his words, on the sea, near the coast, all the people in Dressrosa couldn't help but boil. He actually wanted to forcibly keep Dressrosa from Shaluo and Linlin. In addition, his figure floating in midair like a supernatural power. For a moment, many people even felt that this was simply like a savior possessed. Do you just want to keep Dressrosa? Shaluo exclaimed. Linlin said loudly, it's clear that the world government wants to persecute you. Resent has its head. Debt has its owner. One thing is one thing. Shaluo also shouted, Kaido, this is my style. Then, come on. Charlotte Linlin shouted. Dressrosa gives you. But, I must take you back obediently. I'll go back with you, Shaluo said, but, will I be taken back? It depends on whether you can overpower my husband. Really? Then try it. Charlotte Linlin clenched his fists sharply. The fist, as well as the two arms, have become the color of black iron. Seeing this, the pupils of Katakuri and the others on the Big Mom pirate's ship couldn't help but move at the same time. Mom is really going to fire up this time. Father, be careful. Amando blurted out involuntarily. Hearing the crowd's shouts, Shaluo also took a deep breath, frowned, and thoughts flew in her mind. Charlotte Linlin, who is full of firepower, can't be dealt with by ordinary attacks. In addition, I ran almost 4 days and 4 nights in a row. Although there was a charge from Lei Zeus just now, the strength that can be exerted is still only about 80%. In this case, it is almost impossible to defeat her head-on. So, what about hitting the side or hitting the back? Although the figure at this time is many times slimmer than in the original book. Charlotte Linlin is still huge, like a half-giant, and what she uses is obviously biased towards heavy style of play, and this way the heavyweight character of the heavyweight character, once the center of gravity is out of balance, will be much more embarrassed than the general dexterous character. For example, in the original book, Nami used a lightning ball to lure Thundercloud Zeus, which caused her to fall directly from the air. Although she is not as fat as in the original book, once the center of gravity is out of balance, it will be more difficult than ordinary people in the midair where there is not much place to stay. This remains unchanged. At my speed, if I find the right opportunity and angle and strike with all my strength, I might be able to kick her off Prometheus with one kick. Even if she can give soul to part of the seawater, she will definitely be very passive if she is caught off guard, coupled with my high-speed additional attacks. Great, that's it. Heavy has a heavy play, and agile has an agile survival. If she becomes falling into the water Linlin, then at that time, the winner will basically be decided. Sha Luo quickly made up her mind. At this time, at a glance, I saw that countless people were watching the battle, and on the Big Mom pirate ship, Katakori, Owen, Daifuku, Cracker, Amando and others also opened their eyes wide. Pay attention to this parent showdown. Sha Luo's heart moved slightly. Is this really good? This guy came all the way to vent his anger, and as a result, he kicked her into the sea in front of countless people, even in front of her children who had been watching her never lose in battle. Sha Luo suddenly felt a tangle in her heart. Then, take it, at this time, Charlotte. Linlin stepped on the Sunfire Prometheus, and was already rushing towards Sha Luo quickly. Damn it. Seeing this, Sha Luo had to bite the bullet. Pangolin. Fairy state. Ru body activated. Armed. Kirin arm. Sha Luo's arm also turned black instantly, but the outside was enveloped by a layer of golden halo, forming a golden iron fist. At the same time, the body also shrouded by the golden halo of the immortal state, also burst out the arc of the ZZ, forcing the activation of the Ru body to a high-intensity state. Then, look at Charlotte. Linlin who is rushing towards the opposite side. Although the strength of armament hockey is not as strong as that of Garp, but there are so many buffs, if the hero Garp in the original book makes you afraid, then this punch one by one. Is that enough to stop you? Lousy is a life-consuming punch. Sha Luo cried out in her heart. Then, with a movement, without dodging or dodging, facing Sha Luo's special Linlin, he rushed over. Call. The iron fists of the two collided directly. Call. Like the explosion of a nuclear bomb, a strong wind pressure suddenly erupted from the nearby sea. The large waves spread out violently like the wind in an instant. The nearby ship where Li Ku-doled was on was affected by the wind and waves. At this time, it swayed and at the same time involuntarily retreated outwards. The fierce wind even made one feel that even the space was shaking. Even people who are 100 or 200 meters away can involuntarily narrow their eyes or raise their hands to protect their eyes. Ah! In midair, Sha Luo and Charlotte. Linlin shouted at the same time. How was it? After a long while, countless people tried their best to open their eyes and look towards the sea. At this time, I saw Sha Luo and Charlotte Linlin. The two were one small, one big and two iron fists, and they were still facing each other, not giving in to each other. Wow! Countless people suddenly blurted out involuntarily, equally powerful. Sha Luo, your punching power is really good. And this magical, golden state. Even better than the Marine Admiral a few months ago, in midair, Charlotte. Linlin said loudly, but it's still a little bit worse. Saying that, he waved his right arm vigorously. Shish. Sha Luo's body, like a cannonball, flew backwards involuntarily. Ah. Seeing this, countless people on the coast and on the escape boats on the sea suddenly seemed to have been knocked away, screaming in a hurry. Somehow, they were already on the side of the thunder-eating man. While they were screaming, Sha Luo frowned in midair. In the next moment, the flying bodies stopped instantly. Whether it is moonwalk, electromagnetic levitation or electromagnetic ejection, it is guaranteed that he is an absolutely qualified Air Force. Damn it. Sha Luo cursed inwardly. The next moment, he raised his fist with a golden halo and charged towards Charlotte. Linlin again. Seeing this, Sha Luo and Linlin also punched quickly. Call. The black fist and the golden fist collided violently again. Around, strong wind pressure, rolled up again. The black fist and the golden fist once again formed a temporary stalemate in the air. Although the two were strong and weak, there is no difference in level. Phew. Sha Luo took a deep breath, and this time, he activated the electromagnetic ejection earlier to prevent Sha Luo's special Linlin from suddenly adding force like before. Is it better to admit defeat and go back with me? Opposite, Charlotte. Linlin said loudly. I won't listen to your orders, Sha Luo shouted Kaido. After he finished speaking, Charlotte Linlin frowned, and his natural divine power came into play in an instant. Sha Luo didn't carry it too hard, and quickly stepped back to the side. Charlotte. Linlin's afterburner punch immediately slammed into the air. I'm here again. And Sha Luo, at this time, shouted loudly. Then, he raised his fist and hit Charlotte Linlin's mouth. Seeing this, Charlotte Linlin quickly raised the arm that he had just shot out, but it was too late to fully retract. Who? Sha Luo punched Charlotte Linlin's arm hard. Yeah, Charlotte. Linlin shouted. Then, the arm swept out vigorously. Sha Luo was in the air, again quickly sideways and dodged away. Then, a moonwalk plus electromagnetic ejection, charged up again. And Sha Luo and Linlin, also fully welcomed. Hu, hu, hu. In midair, a continuous, heavy sound suddenly sounded. Around, the gusts of wind continued to roll up. Liku Dolder's ship had long since been pushed back to the coast by the wind and waves. What kind of battle is this? Everyone was shocked. Even Katakuri and the others looked a little dazzled. The battle between the father and the mother, it was earth-shattering. The fierce battle continued for 20 or 30 rounds. And then, yeah, Charlotte, Linlin shouted. Huh. The next moment, Sha Luo's body shot backward in midair. This time, it finally did not stabilize quickly. Boom. Sha Luo smashed directly into the sea like a cannonball. Damn it. Then, a whisper. After running for 4 days and 4 nights, the stamina is still not enough. So, do you want to take a trick and kick Sha Luo and Linlin into the sea like yourself? Sha Luo frowned and gritted her teeth. Then, with a bang, he broke through the sea from under the sea and returned to the air again. Let's fight. Wow. Seeing Sha Luo break through the sea and return to midair, near the coast, and on the escape boat on the sea, countless people involuntarily made a cry of surprise. Although the battle situation seems to be quite unfavorable, but that man is still fighting. And because the battle was too thrilling, the people on the escape ship who originally wanted to escape didn't even want to escape at this time. What's more, that god, Sha Luo, has already said that he is covering Dressrosa, even Charlotte Linlin can't shoot at it. Back in midair, Sha Luo took a breath. Charlotte Linlin is born with supernatural power, and if he fights head-on, it is estimated that in this era, when Kaido has not bubbling much, only Whitebeard can have a certain upper hand. Even Garp, I'm afraid it's enough. In this era when Whitebeard's sons and Sha Luo and Linlin's sons and daughters are still growing up, these two can dominate one side almost by themselves, although there are also governments who refuse to make every effort and keep them pirates attract hatred, and they are worried that the big pirates will directly join forces and not dare to send troops to overstimulate them. However, these two people themselves are indeed not in vain. This one is really tough. But, it's not time to admit defeat. Watching Sha Luo gasp slightly in midair, on the Big Mom pirate ship, Amando couldn't help but look worried. It's very strange. At this time, next to him, Charlotte Owen frowned and said. Brother Owen. What's wrong? Amando said. Mom's power is indeed above his father, Owen said thoughtfully. However, the speed and agility that father showed in the fierce battle just now, and the agility in midair are completely in Mom. Above. This is very confusing. Beside, Katakuri said, if my father fully utilizes his advantages in speed and agility, although he may still not be able to beat Mom, he will certainly not be at a loss as he is now. Look. In a head-to-head battle, in front of Mom, it is almost impossible to gain the upper hand, Cracker also said. However, that's how he fought. Katakuri said, judging from his father's secret performance in the Bologna War last time, he should not be a brainless person. His strengths and weaknesses, you should see it clearly. So, what exactly is he trying to? Amando looked at the midair in front of him with a puzzled expression when he heard the words of several people. Mom, be careful. At this moment, Sunfire Prometheus suddenly said at the foot of Sha Luo and Linlin. What's wrong, Prometheus? Charlotte, Linlin asked. Mom, you should also see that father, his speed and skill in the air are quite good. Prometheus rode. This point, I knew 16 years ago, Charlotte, Linlin said. But just now, he has always only attacked you from the front. Whether it is from the left, right, or from above, it is always in front of you. Prometheus said, he seems to have deliberately left behind. You don't attack from the back. This seems to have ulterior motives. Have an ulterior motive? By Sha Luo Linlin was a little puzzled. Well, Prometheus said, I'm afraid he deliberately made you relax your guard against your back, and then found an opportunity to attack you from behind suddenly. In this midair, if he succeeds, then coupled with his speed, even if you are Mom, if you are temporarily unstable and lose your footing, you will be very passive. So it is. Charlotte Linlin's face was startled. Then he exclaimed, as expected of my husband, he has a good mind. Duh. Hearing her words, Prometheus was speechless. By the way, my intention was not to praise your husband, was it? However, these things don't matter anymore. Sha Luo, why don't you attack? Charlotte Linlin looked at the opposite Sha Luo again and said loudly, still thinking about your strategy. But I've seen it through. Strategy. Hearing this, Sha Luo looked puzzled. What do you mean? You have been deliberately not attacking my back just now. You just want me to relax my guard, and then hit it successfully. Sha Luo said. Linlin said, I have seen it, so, you should give up and follow. I'll go back. Ah? Hearing her words, Sha Luo couldn't help but look stunned. I deliberately didn't attack her back just to make her relax and then surprise? Does it have to be so complicated? Idiot. If I wanted to attack your back, I would have used that style of play long ago. What kind of psychological tactics would I be playing? Sha Luo shouted helplessly. Then why wasn't there an attack? Sha Luo asked Linlin. Nonsense. Sha Luo said, you came all the way to vent your anger for me, even if I don't agree with the method of venting your anger at all, but with this intention, as a man. How could I kick you into the sea and beat you in public? Your face? Hearing his words, Linlin's face suddenly froze. You actually think so? Charlotte? Linlin said with a look of surprise. Otherwise, what would think? Sha Luo said without hesitation. Hearing his words, Linlin was stunned again. Then, staring blankly at Sha Luo opposite. In his eyes, something else suddenly began to emerge. And then, standing on the Sunfire Prometheus, Linlin burst into tears. Mom. Mom? Everyone on the Big Mom pirate ship was shocked. Mom suddenly burst into tears? This is the first time I've seen it in my life. What the hell is going on? Sha Luo. I chose you as my husband, there is nothing wrong. In midair, Linlin suddenly shrugged, wiped away tears, and shouted, I love you so much. Hearing her shout, everyone nearby was stunned at the same time. For a moment, the air seemed to freeze suddenly. Immediately after, the thunderous voice rang out suddenly. On the coast, on the sea, everyone's eyeballs almost flew out in an instant. Dominating the side of the New World, killing countless people, and even slaughtering the Suffolk Kingdom not long ago, but with a huge stature and a very good beauty, Big Mom Charlotte. Linlin, actually. Not just crying in public, and one by one. And publicly confessed. Hear from Sha Luo, Linlin shouted, and everyone nearby was stunned at the same time, and then their eyes almost fell out of shock. It's incredible. Things you never dreamed of. F*K. Opposite, Sha Luo is also a mouthful of old blood, and almost sprayed directly. What's happening? Charlotte Linlin even confessed in public, and one by one. Seems to like me more. And, if she had fallen in love with herself just because of the system Easter eggs before, then this time, how does it feel like she really likes herself? I obviously haven't done anything yet. Sha Luo looked at the excited Charlotte Linlin with a bewildered face. Since you are happy, then go back obediently, Sha Luo said loudly. No, Charlotte Linlin's face has completely disappeared from the previous annoyance and anger, replaced by excitement and happiness. You actually think about me so much, now. I want to take you back and be my husband. Crack. Sha Luo patted his forehead helplessly. MD, after talking for a long time, still have to fight. Forget it. Just hit it. Laozi ran for 4 days and 4 nights, from the Grand Line to the New World, and ran a third of a circle around the earth, but he didn't come to be captured by you obediently. Sha Luo smashed the can and slammed loudly. He shouted, want to catch me? Come on. After speaking, he forced his sleepy spirit and raised his iron fist. On the opposite side, Linlin was full of energy and momentum at this time, and his fighting state was improved to the best. Then, the two quickly charged towards each other. In midair, the sound of fists colliding violently rang out again. The wind was blowing, and the waves were bursting. On the sea and the coast, everyone was dazzled. This is an earth-shattering fairy fight. Oh no, a husband and wife fight. If it is said that the single combat power of one of them may not be the strongest in the world. So, to say, the strongest husband and wife, it's definitely these two, right? Unrepeatable couple showdown. For a long time, Sha Luo and Sha Luo Linlin roared almost at the same time. Then, the two fists collided violently. In the air, there was a sudden loud noise again. At the same time, one by one, crack, crack. At the place where the two fists collided, a dazzling light suddenly bloomed. Plop, plop, plop. The light passed, the sea, the coast, all the people of Dressrosa, suddenly became powerless. Then, it fell piece by piece, in this collective coma. And in the sky, at this time, even the wind and clouds were discolored. The wind was surging and the clouds gathered like waves, as if they were doing the final battle to the death. However, all that, the people of Dressrosa, no one can witness. A sea breeze blew slowly. I don't know how long it took. On the sea and the coast, countless people fell there, and then slowly woke up one after another. In midair, there were no longer those two fighting figures. On the sea, the ship of the Big Mom pirates has also disappeared. Touch I and touch my neck again, my head is still there. Countless people could not help but look at each other. Are we safe? Looks like it. The Big Mom and Big Mom pirate ships are gone. Wow. What about that big hero, God, Sha Luo? I do not know. I just passed out. Me too. I don't know anything for a split second. The aftermath of the two of them fighting was so terrifying. Who knows the end result? I do not know either. But, regardless of the outcome, God, Sha Luo, should be fine, right? Quickly wake up everyone else, and then try to find a way to confirm the movement of the Big Mom pirates. On the sea, on the coast, people acted one after another. At the same time, Father, are you alright? Big Mom pirates, in a room in the cabin, the third daughter of the Charlotte family, the 11-year-old girl of the Snakehead clan, Charlotte. Amando looked at the young man sitting weakly on the chuang in front of him. He said softly with a concerned face. Well, it's a shame this time. The man sighed helplessly. At the same time, I touched my own mouth. Sure enough, he was still too tired and lacked stamina. One miss, and a rib was almost broken. Fortunately, his defense was strong enough, his armed color was fast enough to protect him, and Charlotte. Linlin's attack had already been neutralized by his fists, so it was probably a slight fracture, and it wouldn't hurt his internal organs. This man was undoubtedly Sha Luo. Just now, he finally suffered the first defeat since his transmigration. Lost to his bound wife, Charlotte. Linlin. What's the matter? Hearing his sigh, in front of him, Amando said with concern, that's because Mom is too strong, and my father wouldn't hurt Mom in public. Mom also said just now that the last Conqueror's haki that my father broke out is a level stronger than her, and my father is already very powerful. Yes, hearing Amando's words, Sha Luo smiled slightly. Sure enough, it's still a good daughter, a caring little padded jacket. So, going back, I will have a good discussion with Sha Luo and Linlin about the cultivation of daughters. Myself and Charlotte. Linlin, now it is a bit like the difference between the so-called cage level and cage level peak in some Hokage fans that I saw in the three-dimensional world. There is still a gap in strength. There are some, but fortunately, the difference is not as big as the grandfather and grandson of the first generation Hokage and fifth Hokage. If you go back and practice hard, you can still catch up or even surpass. Of course, if there are suitable Easter eggs, it will be faster. Father, why don't you have a good rest first? Amando said. Mom said that you were actually defeated by physical exhaustion, otherwise you could fight for a while. Fight for a while, and then still lose. Sha Luo reluctantly spit out. This. Amando was speechless. Okay, I know my strength very well, and I have nothing to be unwilling to do. Sha Luo smiled. She touched Amando's head with her hand. I lost this time, I will catch up later. Well. Hearing him say so, Amando nodded happily. Then I'll go out first. Amando said. It is good. After the two finished speaking, Amando immediately opened the door and prepared to leave. At this time, a high-pitched, childlike voice could be heard from outside. Let go of me. You. What are you trying to do when you arrest our Dong Tata people? Wow. What a big woman. We are not your food. Dong Tata clan? Hearing the sounds of children outside, Sha Luo couldn't help but be puzzled. Amando. What's going on outside? Sha Luo immediately said to Amando. I'm not too sure. Amando said. She was almost Ishin on her father just now. I gonna go see. After speaking, he went out. Soon, I saw her and Charlotte. Blay, who had never seen before, and the two walked in together. Bray, you also participated in this operation? Sha Luo said. Yeah. Bray said excitedly, I have done a great job. Have you made great achievements? Sha Luo asked in confusion. Just now, between Mom and my father, I had already received an order from Mom to reach Dressrosa through the mirror world. Bree said happily. I heard that Dressrosa has something to do with fairy. The legend. Mom was very interested in this legend and wanted to see what kind of race they were, so he sent me to look for them. And I lived up to Mom's trust, and finally found them in a strange place. It turns out that they turned out to be a group of very small people. And then? Sha Luo asked. Then, Brother Katakori just rushed over with me and captured several goblins for Mom. Bree said excitedly, Mom is very satisfied with this. She is going to take them, treat it as a specimen, stay in Wangguo, and even think about whether to add a little human child to Wangguo. The so-called taking it as a specimen is about locking them in a book, like Luffy and Nami in the original book. Although now the book fruit may not have been eaten by anyone in the family. In addition, the so-called adding a little human child to the world is estimated to be forcing the little human to have a child with whom and then forcibly taking it away, injecting his soul from the infancy, becoming his own child, a part of himself, and then drive away or even dispose of her original parents. Or, if it is in the original work, Sha Luo and Linlin may also have the ability to have children with each other even if they don't have sex. Of course, now, because of my own reasons, I basically will not adopt this kind of personal approach. But no matter which way it is done, the small human race seems to have suffered this time. And all of this, although mainly because of Charlotte Linlin originally had the desire to collect various races in all nations, but directly led the fire, speaking of himself. It seems that they have to find a way to pull them. At least don't be treated as a specimen, Sha Luo whispered to herself.
Father, what's wrong? Seeing him thinking, next to him, Amando asked.
Well, it's nothing. Sha Luo glanced at her and the excited Blay. You too, go and tell your mom. I'm also a little interested in the little people, don't make them lose their arms first. Legs are better. Really? Hearing this, Bree said energetically, then I'll go tell mom right away. Go. Sha Luo said. Bree and Amando immediately walked out of the room, and Amando gently closed the door. The room was quiet. Sha Luo sat on the chuang, tangled. After this incident, I am now, half willingly, half reluctantly, admitting to having a special relationship with Sha Luo. Linlin's husband and wife relationship is over, and Charlotte Linlin also seems to like herself even more than before. It seems that this time she is really bound to her. It's just that her philosophy and style of doing things are very different from her own, which is a headache. Although there is a word called seeking common ground while reserving differences, but now the two of them have differences in the general direction, right? Well, this time, when I go to all nations, I think there are about 4 things to solve. First, stop Sha Luo and Linlin from continuing to slaughter the island at every turn. I don't ask you to suddenly become a kind person, but at least, it's better to distinguish the enemy from the commoners when fighting more crooked. Second, the education of children, especially daughters. For example, Bray, since she is her own daughter, can't let her turn into the old witch in the original book, right? In addition, although in the original book, when she was in her 40s, she was already like an old witch, but if she was a child, if you pay more attention, can you be like the current Sha Luo and Linlin, and her appearance is at least 10 times better than in the original book? The third is about the future direction of the Big Mom pirates. Charlotte. Since this guy Linlin has become his wife, then, even if you are strong, lousy will turn you into a normal beauty. It is no longer the one in the original book where many children have betrayed her one after another devilhead. As for the strong pull method, it is also very simple to say. As said before, speak with your fists, whoever wins listens to whoever. As for Katakuri and others, well, now that I have become my own son, if possible, I will also care a little and nurture them who are still very young now. Of course, the premise is that they can be sure that they will follow him and are a group of good sons who are willing to listen to their fathers. And the fourth one is the grudge between Charlotte Linlin and the little human race caught this time, as well as some other races who might have had grudges before. Since it is a husband and wife, there is no way, the wife's grievance. TMD is also the husband's grievance. There is still a lot to do. I am afraid it will take some time for this trip to all nations. Sha Luo thought secretly in her heart. At the same time, take your time to recover your spirits and recuperate your injuries. A few days passed quickly. On this day, the ship of the Big Mom pirates finally returned to the Man Kingdom. Then, continue to move forward, after passing a few islands, and finally arrive at the headquarters, the familiar Cake Island in the original book. At this time, on the island, the sound of a large number of cheers had already come. Mom. Mom. Father. Father. Wonderful and beautiful mom. Powerful and handsome father. Back to all nations together. Lead a beautiful home. What? Hearing the cheers outside, Sha Luo couldn't help but be speechless. Without noticing, Laozi became the father of an island. Oh no, daddy of 34 islands. Father, we have arrived at Cake Island. At the door, Amando walked in at this time and said to Sha Luo, is your injury better? It's basically no big problem, said Sha Luo. Mom is waiting for you to return to the island with you outside, Amando said. Alright. Sha Luo then walked out with Amando. Then, I saw Charlotte. Linlin and Katakuri, Owen, Daifuku, Cracker and others had come to the deck. Sha Luo. This is our island. Charlotte Linlin said happily, you lost to me before. Now, just live here in peace. It was just a temporary defeat. Sha Luo pouted. Anyway, you will definitely like it here. Sha Luo Te, Linlin said. Oh. Sha Luo said lightly. When the two of them said this, next to them, a shrill voice came again. Come here. Let us go. Let us go. Hearing the sound, Sha Luo immediately looked towards Katakuri. I saw that in his hand, he was carrying a birdcage made of rice cakes. Inside the cage, a group of little humans, like little birds, jumped up and down inside, calling out incessantly. These are the Dong Tata clans that were caught in Dress Rosa earlier. Sha Luo immediately pointed to the little human clan in birdcage and said. That's right. Charlotte. Linlin said, they're funny, right? They're like little birds that can jump, but they can talk better than the little birds. As expected, such a special race cannot be lacking in the world. I plan to let them produce offspring, and then become our children. Before that, let Katakuri guard them. One by one, last month I got a book fruit, called Mendel after eating. He is only 7 years old now, but he can already use the power of that devil fruit. Maybe it is safer to stuff them into books and staple them. Katakuri has many other things to do woolen cloth. Really? Sha Luo was speechless and said in her mouth. He actually planned to nail the little human race as a specimen, this Charlotte. Linlin. In the original book, when I was young, I was so naive. I saw Mr. Shang bullying Mr. Wolf, and went to persuade her. Although the result was that Mr. Shang was slapped to death, at least he was really kind in his heart, even if later it may have eaten the nun and others unintentionally, but it was not intentional. In addition, she helped the giants to smack mosquitoes, wanted to help the long-handed Che remove the extra joints, etc. at that time, although she was daunting, but from the heart, he is really a good children who help others. But now, how has it grown into such a terrifying existence that slaughtered the island at every turn, and made others into specimens casually? Damn it. Let us go. In Birdcage, the little people jumped again and shouted loudly, we are not birds or specimens. Let us go. They are too noisy now, Charlotte. Linlin frowned when he heard the cries of the little people. Katakuri sealed the cage first, leaving only one vent. Next is the welcome ceremony for your father's return to the island. How can they keep shouting here? Yes, Mom. Katakuri responded. Then, the ability of Nuo fruit was activated, and he saw a lot of rice cakes spread out from his hand, and soon, the birdcage was sealed from the outside, leaving only a vent. The voices of the little people were suddenly inaudible. Looking at this scene, Sha Luo was silent again. Then, let's go to the island, Charlotte Linlin said happily to Sha Luo. Oh fine. Sha Luo responded. Then, the two walked to the bow of the boat. On the island, I saw a large number of homies, as well as some people with strange races, still cheering enthusiastically at this time. At the same time, the Charlotte family, apart from Katakuri and the others, had more than 20 children, large and small, who had reached the front of the boat and stood on the shore. Mom. Welcome back from the expedition. A 16 or 17-year-old man and a 15 or 16-year-old woman at the head said loudly to Charlotte. Linlin. Oh, Perispero, compart, you two were staying behind, Charlotte, Linlin said. Then he looked at Sha Luo next to him. This is your father. Why don't you say hello to your father? Yes. The two responded immediately. Father, welcome back. Welcome back, father. Everyone also said loudly. Okay. Sha Luo waved to everyone with a pained face. Dear fellow travelers, brother is now the father of the entire Cake Island, as well as the common father of the 34 islands of Wangguo. The number of children is even more than Whitebeard. Who among you has my cow? Looking at Yideo's children, Sha Luo was speechless for a while. At this time, I thought of Guion, Hina, and Hancock who had not yet been born on the island of 9 snakes. Fortunately, he is also a real father. Otherwise, this situation is really unsuitable. Of course, in all nations, not everyone is his son or daughter. Welcome back, Linlin. At this time, a man with a long sheer head and a medieval pirate hat like the one in the Western pirate-themed movies in the three-dimensional world, who looked to be in his 40s, first glancing at Sha Luo, then, said to Sha Luo with a slick face. Linlin said. Seeing that man, especially when he glanced at him just now, for a moment, although he was well concealed, he could immediately feel some kind of hostile expression to Sha Luo, who was very good at seeing, and Sha Luo couldn't help but move his brows. It's this guy. Before meeting him, he taught Charlotte Linlin for more than 10 years, leading the establishment of the Big Mom Pirate Group, as well as some of Charlotte Linlin's current philosophy of doing things, and in the last Poirot during the Nia Island War, it was, coincidentally, the chief cook, who went to other places just when Charlotte Linlin was suffering from Shifu. Well, Charlotte Linlin has led from a good child to become a demon, and indirectly caused himself to be targeted by the Tianlong people.